Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
And they embody what the school is about. It's about getting into hard situations and getting ourselves out. It's about working hard. It's about doing amazing things.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Thank you, Jesus. We are almost done. Welcome into this SEC Media Days presentation brought to you by Paragon Financial Advisors, helping clients nationwide focus on long game through independent fiduciary financial advice. Visit paragon-adv.com. He's Olin, and I'm David. This is TexAgs Live. We'll get to the other ones in a moment. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. OB, we've hit the finish line. And a couple thoughts.
Yes, sir.
The older I get, the older you get, the younger you get. Buddy, you've had fun this week.
You know, it's probably...
You had some friends here.
It's probably been more enjoyable for me than any of them before. Yeah, I've got a lot of friends here, you know, former coworkers. I always say, at TexAgs, I'm, with the exception of you, 90%, maybe 95% of the employees at TexAgs, I'm old enough to be their grandfather. So I don't do a lot of socializing at work.
Right, we go to dinner and then they go do their thing, you go do your thing, and I go to sleep.
But here, I have an opportunity to hang around guys that, former coworkers and colleagues that are more my demographic. Yeah, and we've had a good time.
Yeah, I can tell. I thought in my head, as I do on every trip, this is the trip that I let my hair loose, right? But I haven't. I've gone to bed like normal. We hung out at the lobby for 12 minutes. That was fun. But nobody wants to talk about our social life here in Tampa. They want to talk about football. So before I get to what we're going to talk about on Texas A&M side of things, because they did talk yesterday, let's talk about who's on the podium today. Apparently, Lane Kiffin already spoke with LSU, and he didn't say much, but he and LSU are going today. Mississippi State and Jeff Lebby, Arkansas and Ryan Silverfield, and the University of Texas, the SIPs, TU, Steve Sarkisian.
Okay. I don't mean to be rude. I don't think many people are going to care what Jeff Lebby has to say.
Yep.
Even though they dang near beat Texas last year. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to know what Lane Kiffin might say. He might just come out in deadpan and say nothing.
That's apparently what he's done so far.
Sarkisian, he's a very business-like approach to everything. So he'll give you about as much as you need and nothing more. But he has a really good football, or he's projected to have a really good football team. And then who's the other one?
Lane Kiffin?
Arkansas.
Oh, Silverfield.
Oh, Silverfield.
Man, we love the Silvers.
Yeah, John Daly's here.
John Daly walked by.
So I think he would be a better representative or the Arkansas representative that most people like to hear from. I don't mean to be disrespectful to Ryan Silverfield. He may be doing a great job at Arkansas. I think, off the top of my head, I'm believing that they may be the weakest team in the SEC this year.
I think so, too. And sometimes I wonder, OB, I know everybody wants to get to the SEC, but sometimes, unless it's the right job at the right time, I think staying where you are is just fine.
Yeah, except I wish I could get hired to be an SEC football coach, and if they fire me after the first year, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So, he was at Memphis, and I'm sure he got a nice salary at Memphis compared to most of us, but it probably quadrupled when he went to Arkansas. So, of course, you take that opportunity because there's not that many opportunities.
Yeah, financially I understand it, but sometimes I'm trying to think of who I want to compare it to. But they'll build statues of you for winning 9, 10 games in smaller conferences, and if you don't win 9 or 10 in the SEC, you're gone in 24 months.
But the thing is, if you are gone in 24 months,
you're financially
you should be financially secure, and you can almost always go back to those.
That's good, true. Like Billy Napier.
Like Billy Napier.
Yeah. Exactly right. So yesterday, the message I got from A&M, OB, was getting there was not the goal. Mm-hmm. And I know there were some good one-liners from Mike Elko yesterday, strung along with some good thoughts afterwards. But, the empty trophy case, they don't need motivation. They don't, because the facts are exactly what Coach Elko said. They have not done anything. And this program, through its history, will have a good year followed by a bunch of mediocre years.
Yeah, that's true, and he's brought that up before. Look, they've done amazing things. A&M doesn't have a whole lot of 11-win seasons, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, the 2012 season and last year were the only 11-win seasons in 30 years. So they accomplished a lot, but his point is, being good's not good enough. And I would imagine there are some Aggies somewhere that kind of bristled at that. Hey, you're giving the SIPs social media fodder because even your coach is, that kind of thing. But I would want a coach that says, hey, being good's not good enough. 11 wins is not good enough. We need 12.
Yeah.
We need to keep winning. So I would embrace that.
I found it, I don't know if interesting is the right way to phrase it, but I'm just paying attention to there's a confidence that they're giving, but there's not a cockiness. Like, I feel when Coach Elko speaks, he's like, hey, we've got the best secondary I've had since I've been here. He doesn't just throw those lines out there. Right? His wide receiver room, there's a confidence of look, we've got some weapons here. There's a confidence with Marcel of he knows what he needed to fix. He's worked on it, and let's go prove it.
Yeah, he talked a lot about that last night or yesterday when he said something along the lines of, people think they see what you are as a freshman, and they get in your mind that's who you are, that you can't improve. And, it seems something that annoys Coach Elko, and he says, you can get a lot better. Marcel's gotten better.
Yep.
And, you see the things you got to fix, and you go out and fix it. I think there's an air of confidence about him without being arrogant. I think, we think we can be pretty good.
Yeah, I think they can be pretty good. But with the Tier 2 teams, again, there's this mythical Tier 1 and Tier 2 and Tier 3, right? The Tier 1 teams, you guys don't want to hear it, is Texas and Georgia, based on perception.
Right.
And roster. Okay? Roster is part of the perception.
Well, they have the same questions that A&M has.
Offensive line?
Offensive line.
Yeah.
And, they've got some linebackers, guys they have to replace.
And Jordan Rogers seems to be the only guy who isn't he doesn't believe Arch is a first-round pick yet. That he's got still something to prove from that respect. While everybody's already trying to give him the Heisman again. Not as much as last year.
Right.
Not as much as last year. But so there's that. But I mean, Georgia and Texas from an elite roster perspective, I get it. Then there's the Tier 2. Ole Miss has questions, and we know what those questions are. LSU's got questions. We know what those questions are. A&M's got some questions. Who am I missing here?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's question would be the
offensive line.
Offensive line, ability to run the ball, and turnovers.
Right.
Right? So some of the same things that A&M had. Not A&M could run the ball last year, and I expect them to run the ball again. Well, so with all that being said, they all have got these questions, and everybody pretty much has a hard schedule. So it's going to be who can and who can't.
The thing about Oklahoma that I don't get is that John Mateer is never really questioned like Marcel is or doubted. They say, he got hurt last year, so, he's going to be better. And I'm like, yeah, he was throwing interceptions before he got hurt.
Yep.
But
Michigan game.
Yeah, and I said, okay, but, we'll see. And they were hyped. Hey, look, they beat Michigan. Big, fat deal.
Yeah.
Michigan wasn't good.
Well, then people will tell you, big deal. A&M beat LSU. They weren't any good.
They were better than Michigan when A&M played them.
Yeah.
Before they quit. They quit after.
I did ask Moscona that. Had LSU beat A&M, and look, it wasn't close. But to his point, we all have a certain memory through our own perspective. He's like, dude, LSU was beating A&M at the half. They were, yes. But if you watch that game, A&M was. They were about to. It felt like they better not make another mistake because they're about to go on.
Yeah, A&M was. They weren't winning at halftime. A&M was losing.
Yeah,
because A&M was.
They had the lead.
Was doing things.
Yeah.
To themselves.
But to that point, though, he believes if LSU doesn't have the collapse that they had in the second half, Brian Kelly's probably still their coach.
Might be. But they did, and he's not, and who knows what they are this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope they're not good.
No, I hope they're not good at all.
Or at least on that fourth week.
Yesterday also was a day of these young men have grown up. And from in different perspectives. Because Marcel Reed, we knew he had some promise as a freshman, but I don't think any of us really thought he was going to be a starting quarterback for almost 3 years, right? Like at least I didn't think that at the time.
Connor Wigman was going to be.
Right? Damian Sanford, a guy that was, supposed to go to Duke. We didn't have high expectations. And then he burst on the scene last season. And I've interviewed him throughout his time, and we even talked about it on the show yesterday. He's such a mature young man and a different level of confidence from him. And then Marcus Radcliffe. He was a guy that we didn't know. San Diego State, who is this kid? And he is, a leader on and off the field.
Well, I think, especially those last two guys you mentioned, go back to the genius, if you will use that word, Mike Elko. We've talked about how he finds these diamonds in the rough, like Boca. Yeah. We've talked about them and honored them. And, Marcus Radcliffe's another one.
Yeah.
Whoever heard of Marcus Radcliffe? When they saw they got a Aggies. When you saw a couple of years ago, hey, they got a guy in the transfer portal committed named Marcus Radcliffe from San Diego State. You're not giving everybody high fives. You're probably going, huh, who? And then Sanford. Now, Mike Elko's at Duke. He was looking for players, and he says,
I want that guy.
Nobody's really recruiting that guy, but I'm going to. He's. I think we've talked about it, his evaluation of talent is what sets him apart, I think.
But there's a lot of other ones, too. Armaje Reed Adams.
Yeah.
When they brought him on, we're like, Kansas guy, he'll be good, right? But you can go Cassius Howell. Nobody thought this dude was going to be a day one, day two NFL pick. That's not what they thought when they may have thought that. That's why the TBD is we don't know what they really have because there's players that they've brought on. But I can use the Elko thinking, like, all right, well, Elko seems to do pretty well when he brings guys in. So I'm going to, yesterday one of the themes of the show was believing in brands. And when I believe in brands, I'm talking about the coach, right?
Yeah. It's like we used to talk about no matter what the situation was, players they lost, people would put Alabama and Georgia in the top.
You just know.
Because they had earned the benefit of the doubt. A&M had never earned it. But what is going on right now is people are projecting A&M. I saw someone said A&M they're putting them either third in a tie with Ole Miss for third in the SEC standings. People are saying, they could be a playoff team after they lost 10 guys. You never hear that about A&M if they lost 7. And the reason is Mike Elko has earned the benefit of the doubt and what work he can do in the transfer portal.
But has he completely earned it? In my eyes, yes. But if this year's a step back, then you're like, all right, well, let's see what the next. He's not going to lose it either, right? But he hasn't. Has he had very many misses? Jordan Shaw, another name that he's developed under the system. So when you look at this year's transfer portal, guys, and what it can mean to the bottom line, and what being in this system has done, and we've made a lot about Tommy Moffitt, but that offseason conditioning program, putting these guys in position. Look, There's no doubt about it, OB. They didn't finish last year, but they finished better than they had in years past. Now it's about finishing even more.
Yeah, look, they were 5 yards away from going to overtime with Miami, who played for the national championship and was in the game.
Yeah.
All right? You're not that far off.
Yeah.
You're 5 yards away.
So what do you think the strongest message Elko delivered yesterday?
I think the strongest message was the one you touched on. I think people would hear him say, yeah, we were good. Good isn't good enough. We're not satisfied, and we still think we can be a good football team, but we're not gonna celebrate too much an 11-win season. Even though you could.
Yeah.
You know, how many times have you seen coaches, even at A&M, where they start like listing their resume, like see, and we finished in the top 5.
And we did this, yeah.
4, and he's saying we hadn't done anything. Most coaches would, hey, we finished, whatever A&M finished, and, nobody's done that, and we won 11 games, and that's only been done X amount of times here and all this. He's just saying, we haven't done anything.
I remember, and I don't remember the context of the question, but Bill O'Brien, when he was the coach of the Texans, I believe we were in Denver. I don't remember where we were. It was a Monday night game. I think it was Denver. Maybe it was Cincinnati. Wherever we were. Monday night game, I believe. And Brian T. Smith of the Chronicle, who's a columnist, asked Bill a question. And it irked Bill. And he started saying, AFC South champion, Brian. AFC South champion. He was like reminding him, because he didn't like the framing of the question of what the Texans had done. And when you start giving your resume, it is a defense mechanism because you don't have an answer typically. Sometimes, hey guys, I understand where you're coming from, but look what we've done. A&M has never done this, this, and this, and now we're getting 10 guys we made the playoffs. So there is a place for it. But when you come from it from an adversarial point because you don't want to answer the question, that's where you know there's a problem.
Yeah, I didn't ever saw that.
Yeah.
That one, but
AFC South, Brian. AFC South chance, Brian.
The AFC South wasn't that good back then, was it?
I mean,
it doesn't matter.
Does it matter?
No.
If you're the Big 12 champion, you get invited, buddy.
Right. I want to see the Aggies in that SEC championship.
Yeah, I don't want them to be the opening act, right? I don't want them to, hey, we're close to making the SEC championship. I want them to play in it. I want them to win in it.
But Elko doesn't either. He doesn't want them to be, and that's what he made clear.
Yeah, he did. Hey, this is TexAgs Live.
It is.
We're presented by
David Gardner's Jewelers.
We are in the what?
The Rollo Insurance Traveling Studio.
Yeah, the mobile studios is what I like to call it. And this hour has a name. We call it
the Go Hour.
Presented by the
Warehouse of CC Creations.
If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can do it multiple ways. One way is to call us on
the Buppies Catering and Bartending Hotline.
Nobody calls. 979-693-1150. But you do text, and that number is the what?
But that's the Catalyst Pure Performance Energy PPE text line.
Let's go around the room. Let's go left to right. Let's go behind. No, he's not behind the glass. He's right here to my right. Nick Savage.
Behind the tablecloth.
Behind the tablecloth. Nick, how has your week been? How are the people in Houston, College Station doing? How's our crew doing?
They're doing great.
Yeah.
They have done a great
Cade's
job.
done a good job.
Cade's done awesome. Cade's been great.
The rest of them?
The rest of the crew's been
Nigrans,
great.
the Kaylas, the whole group.
Very good. Very good.
What about the interns?
Good.
Okay.
I think.
Everybody gets a passing grade? An A, B, or a C?
So far, yes. That's the work's not over yet.
All right. Well, I grade on a scale. Did I say that right? On a curve.
Yeah. Curve. Oh, sure.
Yeah. Whatever.
What's my grade been so far?
I grieve on a scale. Every time I step on it and say, I've got to.
Oh, yeah. Good one.
That's an OB joke for sure. All right, buddy. What do you have for us this morning?
I was impressed by the reception of I feel like every year at this event, the I don't know what the word I'm looking for
Elko
is.
is becoming the must-see or must-hear coach.
Definitely.
Like, for different reasons. It was Mike Leach, it was Steve Spurrier, it was some other guy. Mike Elko is becoming the guy that everybody wants to hear, that everybody wants to be present when he goes.
Absolutely. I was thinking the same thing.
What I really liked about it, what I liked about yesterday, and so this morning I watched SEC Live with Doring and PB while I was working out, and I listened to some stuff last night as I was going to bed, and there was a lot of A&M talk, okay? But hold on. I don't have a problem with that because when they talked about A&M, it was complimentary and pleasant, okay? They weren't an A block story. They weren't a B block story. They were maybe a C block story yesterday. And what I mean by that is I think that's how Coach Elko likes it. He doesn't want the limelight. He doesn't want to be taught. Like last year at this time, there was the question, well, why is Marcel Reed not here? And this and that. Yesterday, hey, A&M, Coach Elko, he speaks, he gets more confident. He does this, he goes that, yada, yada, yada. And yesterday and this morning, I felt like, hey, Texas A&M is a legitimate playoff contender. They have a coach that speaks the right language, and then they move on. Like, they're getting the respect, but they're not a big story. And I think A&M likes it that way.
Well, historically, A&M's best years were when they entered the season kind of under the radar a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, their problematic years often have been when they've been like top 10 coming into the season. So they may be a bottom or a C. You said C block. They may be a C block team
with A block.
But if they let's say they get off to a 4-0 start, which means they just beaten LSU, then they're going to be an A block.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they have A block moments, but storylines, I think people are pretty comfortable where A&M is. They're a really good team. They got to answer some questions, but they like the direction A&M's going. There's not the intrigue of a coaching change or a Heisman contending quarterback that I think Marcel should be discussed in that vein because he was last year, but it's fine. He's got to go prove some things good. Let's go prove it.
Yeah. Of course, the Heisman Trophy winner so often isn't highly acclaimed
at this point.
Yeah. Like, look at Fernando Mendoza. You know,
nobody didn't.
Right. I was hearing Arch Manning, Lenora Sellers, Carson Beck. I was hearing a bunch of different other names. And what do you know? Fernando Mendoza won it.
All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back. More chit-chat here on TexAgs Live. OB, I've eaten a lot of food this week. I didn't have lunch yesterday, which meant I gorged out at some random Mexican restaurant that was recommended to us. It was all right. Anyway, but I started thinking, because I got these beef quesadillas. They were okay. They're fine. I was thinking beef. I was hoping taste. Yeah. I wanted like an explosion of flavor.
Yeah.
And then I realized anytime you get 1775, it ruins the rest of the food for you. So you got to keep going back to 1775.
Yeah, I went to an event last night, and they served us some barbecue chicken and some ribs. Well,
probably fine. It was, food.
The price was right. Yeah. Free. But once you've had 1775 pork ribs, you know, it's that whole thing about once you've been to the city, do you really want to go back to the farm? You know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so the 1775 pork ribs, that's the big city of pork ribs. What I had last night was, that white spot in the road.
Yeah.
You know, but maybe it's not fair because once you've been 1775.
I guess that's my point. If you want to taste the top of the mountain.
Yeah. The mountain of
taste. Right. You go to 1775, but it will ruin everything else for you. But that's okay because you can keep coming back.
You can come back every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
The website is 1775txbbq.com. Call them up, 979-492-6241. It is 1775, and
it's the Mount Everest of barbecue.
And it's good.
It's good.
Hey everyone, David Nuno here of TexAgs Live. I want to introduce you to the team at Holistic Planning. Got Jason Barber here, Taylor Pankratz, and also Paul Meredith. Jason, I want to start off with you. What really sets Holistic Planning apart from the others?
Yeah, so what makes us different is most financial advisors stop at investment management. On the other hand, Holistic Planning, we manage investments, taxes, and estate planning all on one team, all underneath one roof.
Now, Taylor, when everything is coordinated like that, it really helps the bottom line, doesn't it?
It really does. When your investments and taxes are working together, you stop leaving money on the table and keep more of what's yours.
Paul, Holistic Planning is trying to expand as well.
That's true. We just opened our Houston office, and we're looking for people who feel like their advisor isn't seeing the full picture, because that's exactly what we fix.
And Jason, there's other opportunities beyond that.
Definitely. If you're a financial advisor and you want to join the Holistic Planning team, we're looking to add 50 teams in the next 5 to 10 years. So check out holisticplanning.com/advisors.
All right, so if you want a team that actually coordinates everything, go to holisticplanning.com. Aggies, this one is worth it.
As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggie Land since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com. And your favorites are on their way. It is TexAgs Live from SEC Media Days, brought to you by Paragon Financial Advisors. OB, so we had Alyssa Orange come by from Arkansas. She covers the Razorbacks. She said she did the whole karaoke thing. I would rather seriously watch paint dry with the Taliban than do, seriously, I would. I would just hang out with them before I do karaoke. I think you have to drink to enjoy karaoke or like to sing. That's just my thought process. I could be wrong. But it got me thinking, what would be your karaoke song? You got to pick one. What would it be?
You know, I've only sang karaoke once, and it was pretty heinous, and it was it was very mean-spirited, and we rightfully got booed off the stage. like I said, it was mean-spirited. I feel bad about it now. We were at a place in Houston, and we followed a group of girls, some of whom were maybe a little robust in their
wardrobe.
No, in their size.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Big girls.
Yeah.
And
big personalities.
And we were very immature back then.
Yeah.
And we sang Girls Just Want to Have Fun. We changed the
lyrics?
Yeah. Like I said, we were very mean-spirited. We were saying...
Girls just want to eat gum?
No, we were saying those girls...
Oh, I don't know if we should go there.
They weigh a ton.
Oh, no.
Especially the middle one.
You did not do
Yeah, we
that.
did. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I felt... That was back in my drinking days.
Yeah.
I felt bad about it later.
Your mojito days?
Well, I mean, no.
The real drinking days.
Yeah. So, that was not one of my best days.
By the way, Chase in Houston sends in, and by the way, I would have picked an Oasis song.
Okay. I've never heard one, but
Liam and Noel Gallagher. Okay, on the other side, we're going to hear, I don't know, if not Wonderwall, whatever, Soul Sally, whatever, right?
Soul Sally?
Well, that's the hook. It's Soul Sally. That's not the name of the song. I just couldn't remember at the time. Soul Sally and Supersonic from Oasis. There's a lot of great ones, okay? Anyway, A&M has to be pushing for a playoff spot in the Texas game to break away from the narrative that last year was a one-hit wonder, Jason Houston says. If A&M pushes through to 2 consecutive CFPs in a row, they'll have become a program that has nationally broken through to the next level as that kind of program.
Yeah, the question that Mike was asked yesterday was, has Texas A&M arrived?
Yeah.
He said, no.
We haven't done jack.
Haven't arrived. You know what they are, though? You ever go to the airport and you're waiting to pick up somebody who's flying in, and you're looking at the status of the flight, and it says in range?
Yeah.
That's where A&M is.
They're in range. And you better hope a thunderstorm doesn't come and it delays all that.
Well, yeah, you don't want any delays like we have tonight on our flight.
Yeah, sucks. I understand that Ross Dellenger is going to join us at 8:45, so I'm going to try to keep our hits or our breaks on time. Mm-hmm. All right, because I'd like to talk to Ross Dellenger about the future of college football. He's the best at reporting behind the scenes. Right now, when the unexpected happens, whether a car or property damage or business liability, car damage, you name it, preparation matters. At the Rollo Insurance Group, you are properly covered before crisis strikes. They're going to take care of you. They have independent agents that provide consultation across all insurance types to give you the confidence that the details are handled correctly. They've got over 60 offices statewide. There's always help nearby, and the people are great. The true value of insurance becomes clear during those critical moments when you need to file a claim, and Rollo agents are going to take care of you each step of the process. Do not wait until disaster strikes to discover gaps in your coverage. Visit rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs or call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That is 888-44-ROLLO. It's Rollo Insurance.
Hey guys, David Nuno here to talk about our new partners with EventPipe. They are a leader in hotel booking technology, and now they're giving you a chance to support Aggie student athletes every time that you travel. Thanks to their partnership with United and EventPipe, whether you're heading into a game, a business trip, or family vacation, every room that you book comes with cash back in the pockets of Aggie athletes. That's a wonderful deal. And with EventPipe, you'll get discounted hotel rates up to 20% lower than the major travel sites, while enjoying a fast, easy booking process. They've even created Presto, EventPipe's quick launch booking solution. It lets organizations build branded hotel sites powered by live hotel inventory, making it simple to book the perfect stay. So next time you want to book a trip, do it the smart way with EventPipe and support Texas Aggies NIL through United. Visit their website, tau.eventpipe.com.
A better place to play. I don't even know if the timing on the radio works, but because we're on a delay.
So that's as close to karaoke as I'm going to get with you right there?
Yeah, that's it. One line. Okay. Although the very average Mexican restaurant we went to yesterday played a lot of Bad Bunny. So I had that. Hey, put headset on. Am I right? Like, am I overreacting? The Mexican food yesterday was
Never. Go ahead.
I agree. Yeah, no, it was.
You don't go to I knew it before.
It was like a 5 out of 10.
It was a 3.
But to the person that recommended it, it will be a 10 out of 10.
Here's the thing.
You got to manage relationships.
You don't go to Mexican restaurants in Florida, bro.
Yeah.
You don't. You go to Texas.
Well, I love it. Said
Good Aggie.
Never eat Mexican food north of the Red River or east of the Mississippi.
I knew it. You know, it's like when you know, like, I'm going to get a ticket, I'm going to go down this road, and there's going to be cops, and you get that ticket. I knew.
That's why I don't like to go eat barbecue when I'm out of Texas, especially 1775.
Hey, everybody, I love 1775. Who faces more pressure this season? Lane Kiffin, who, by the way, apparently had an 18-minute monologue and then left no time for questions today. And
very someone-like.
Yeah. Or Kalen DeBoer.
Oh, Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah.
Kalen DeBoer. If he goes 9-3, that may not be good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kiffin's in his first year, so if he does struggle at all, they're going to blame it on Brian Kelly. But that's the way it always works.
But it's interesting, OB. I heard this perspective, and I think Cole Kubelik and Jordan Rogers were kind of talking about it in different ways. Lane is expected. He doesn't do rebuilds. He just reloads every year. Doesn't matter. Quarterback changes. Last year's Ole Miss roster was completely different than the year before. And if he goes to LSU with all the resources in the world and still his ability to coach, and he doesn't get them into the playoffs or beyond, it is a failure. Because he's got everything he's ever asked for, and all he's ever done is win with whatever quarterback you give him.
Yeah, and they're going to expect him to. But if he doesn't, let's say they go 7-5 again, or whatever they were last year, he will not have.
He won't be fired.
He won't be fired. But if Kalen DeBoer goes 9-3, he might be.
Yeah.
So I think Kalen DeBoer is the guy that's under the most pressure.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I do think that there is a pressure to Lane Kiffin, and maybe pressure is not the right word. Pressure is what you allow it to be sometimes. Like, sometimes there is outside pressure, but if you don't live your life on social media, but there is the booster perspective, there is the fan perspective. When you're a head coach, and let's face it, when you're the head coach, you're trying to win for yourself. It's not for everybody else, too. I mean, yes, you want to make your fans happy, but you got into the sport because you're competitive and you want to win at everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know that LSU expects to win this year.
Yeah.
And a lot of people expect them to win this year. That's why I've seen so many people project them for the playoffs. And it'll be a gross disappointment in Baton Rouge if that's the case, if they don't make the playoff.
Yeah.
But I still don't think that the reaction will be as negative for Kiffin as a 9-3. If Alabama just doesn't get into the playoff, you wonder if DeBoer is safe.
People got really loud over the last couple of minutes. You notice that?
Yeah, somebody must have walked through.
People are yelling. I love that when people walk by our set, they do this up and when you look at a pretty lady, you kind of double take. People do that with our set here. Well, we do stand out. If we should be able, I wish we could show you. Maybe we can at some point. Everybody else has got a table. We got a presentation, buddy.
We do, with these lights on us and a couple of cameras.
Yeah. Let's hit a break. OB, I know I've asked you this before, but how many Bubba's 33 Buffalo wings do you think you could have if I gave you 30 minutes?
30 minutes?
Wing per minute?
Yeah. I could eat. If I was hungry enough, I could probably eat 30 wings.
I could definitely eat 30 wings. Could you speed it up? Could you do maybe for the first 15 minutes a wing and a half per minute?
Probably.
Yeah. Have you had those wings before?
I have not had the wings. But
You've had the burger, though.
I've had burgers, yeah, because they're so good. I've not had the pizza, but the pizza looks really good.
I've heard a lot about the pizza.
Burgers are so good that every time I've gone there, I've had a burger.
Yeah, you got to check out Bubba's 33. And right now, they're doing the Burgers for the Brave parking lot party coming up on July the 31st. Join them for a wrap-up of an incredible month of community support for Burgers of the Brave, the parking lot party. They're going to announce their final fundraising total for Homes for Our Troops, recognize 2 outstanding local veterans, enjoy live music, shop with local vendors, and make one last push to support this amazing cause. Bring the entire family. Kids can enjoy face painting, balloon artists, while everyone takes part in an evening of great food, entertainment, and community. It's the perfect family outing and a chance to make a lasting difference for our nation's heroes. It is Bubba's 33. It is very delicious on Highway 6. And we're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Wallow Insurance Studio. This SEC Media Days presentation brought to you by Paragon Financial Advisors, OB Nuno, and Ross Dellenger of Yahoo Sports with us. What's up, Ross? How you been, bud?
Good. Busy, but always good. Plenty of content these days.
Yeah, well, so I don't know how to feel right now, and I actually told this to Greg Sankey yesterday. Coming into this week, I was like, there's no chance they're going to be able to figure things out. Then I felt there was a little bit of optimism that maybe they can figure it out, and then I am reminded there's not a lot of time to figure this stuff out. So what would be your take on the state of the Protect College Sports Act, the SEC and the Big Ten's involvement with it, and then what the next steps are?
Yeah, they're dealing with a very tight timeline. The Senate, after this week, is in session 2 more weeks before the month-long recess that starts August 7th. So the goal is to get the bill to the Senate floor for a vote before that. I think it's going to be very tough to get to the floor next week. There's Lindsey Graham's funerals plural, one Tuesday in D.C., and one Wednesday in South Carolina. That leaves maybe 1.5 days of floor time. So that's going to be very tough. So then you think, all right, well, if they do reach a deal with the SEC and Big Ten this week, which many expect, either that maybe to come by the end of the day or tomorrow, maybe, then they'll push it to the first week of August, but that's the last week before that recess. So it is tight. If they don't get it before the recess, it seems like it's going to just make it more difficult to get through Congress in general. But it's going to be really difficult to get it through Congress if they don't get the SEC and Big Ten support. In fact, it's probably going to be impossible to get it through Congress without the SEC and Big Ten, which is why I think we've seen so much movement from lawmakers lately on trying to revise the bill and to appease the two conferences, because I think they know now they need them, especially to get it through the House of Representatives.
Two things. First of all, do you feel like you have become more of a political writer than a sports writer? And then secondly, if you can break it down for not everybody that really follows it, what is the disconnect with the SEC and the Big Ten? Give some of the I guess the highlights of why it's not, why they don't like what's been suggested.
Well, Olin, it's good that I live in D.C., I guess, good and bad. I'm in a good position to cover this issue on the ground. The negative of that is I'm in a good position to cover this issue on the ground. But it's been fun. I tell people all the time that 3 or 4 years ago, I kind of got tired of sports writing, honestly. I was kind of like, wanted to maybe change careers, maybe even get into news. And then boom, like NIL happened, and it's kind of created this lane on off the field business related news. And that's been kind of cool. So I'm enjoying it. A lot of people ask me if I enjoy it, but I really do. I really do. So they sent, the SEC and Big Ten sent lawmakers 10 requests for revisions to the bill. Right now, I think they've probably gotten 6 or 7 of those. They're still under negotiations, but I think they're probably going to get 6 or 7 of those. Is that enough is the question. And I think they haven't figured that out and maybe won't until they get an actual revised bill with the text. So some of those things that are changing mostly are really like, they call it definitional. It's just like changes in little language, right? And it's very small stuff. And I would say 4 of the 7 changes or so they're going to get are probably definitional. Now, there's a couple other bigger changes that are reported about the last few days. One, it's the expansion provision, the anti-expansion provision, which they have changed to, used to be the SEC and Big Ten were the only 2 leagues that were prohibited from expanding. And now they've opened that up to basically all the power leagues. And now they're gonna change it again to allow the group of 6 programs to at least be promoted up to power leagues. And they put a cap on expansion of 19 members. So I'll be honest, they're probably a little hands-on with that provision than they need to be in Congress. You don't want the government telling you how many schools you can have in your league, but when you go ask the government for help, this is often what happens. So there's that was a big piece, the expansion provision, and part of that change was also adding a line in there that private equity firms can't come in and take members, 10 to 20 schools of the biggest brands, and create a super league. So they're adding that into, and obviously the second change they made, and this is the biggest change and the bigger one, is the bill basically, the way it's written, establishes a harder cap, athlete revenue share cap. And so to sort of combat that, because the market has exceeded the current cap, they've created, or going to create, at least it's being talked about, a separate retention pool to be spent on retaining your players. So right now you have a $21 million revenue share pool. In this concept they're discussing, you'd have an additional $25 million bucket for retaining players. So your $21 million could be spent on transfers in high school players, and then you have $25 million. That's the number they're talking about for the retention pool. So that's $46 million or so, which gets you at least closer to the current market. Probably still $10 to $15 million off from a lot of schools. So those are big changes.
Ross, tell me how I should feel. Like, does it feel like maybe not this particular August, recess is coming up, it gets fixed, but does it feel like some kind of bill will pass through in the next couple of years, or is it are we just spinning our wheels here, I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, probably about, I would say, like 2 weeks before the bill was introduced, I had a good idea it was eventually going to be introduced. And I was speaking to some coaches at an event in Nashville in probably early May. And they said, well, what are the chances this bill that is about to be announced in the next week or so, what are the chances that it passes? I said 30 to 40%. Once it came out, I probably, based on the reaction of the SEC and Big Ten and many others, including the Congressional Black Caucus, who spoke out against it, I kind of dropped that to 30 or lower than 30, 20 to 30%. Then it passed committee. At 19-9, it passed bipartisan. I thought, well, maybe it is. Maybe it does have that. Maybe I'm back to 40%, But the bottom line is, if they don't get the SEC and Big Ten on board, it's probably below 50% that it passes. If they get the SEC and Big Ten on board, it's probably above 50%, maybe even above 60 or 70% that it passes. So I think it's got a good chance if the two leagues get on board, and all indications in the last few days are that the two leagues are pretty close to supporting the bill.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, with this 25, how much do we believe that a $25 million retention pool is going to solve the problems of players bouncing around from one team to another every year?
Well, there is good reason to doubt that it will solve the problems. We've seen, the way the bill is written, and it eliminates basically any deal. Schools are using, obviously, as you guys know, schools are using all these corporate sponsors and multimedia rights partners to exceed the cap with associated entities. So any associated entity deal, the way the bill is written, counts against the cap. So all these MMR, all these sponsor deals would count against the cap, which is why they're raising the cap. The big question is, will the College Sports Commission, and this bill gives the College Sports Commission legal protection to enforce its rules, will the College Sports Commission police like it's supposed to? Will it reject these deals? So it's going to be about enforcement. Now I would be led to believe that the College Sports Commission has a better chance of enforcing some of these rules because it has the law behind it, right? So the thought is you would think so, but I have a hard time believing that schools won't find some way around any new rule, and I'm sure they will find some way around this one.
They always do.
Yeah.
Ross, I appreciate your time, brother. Thank you so much, man. You always do great work. Yeah, Ross Dellenger, Yahoo Sports. OB, thank you, buddy. We'll hit a break. We'll come back. I think Billy's joining us at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. Roman Harper in the 9 o'clock hour. Brian Hadad, who covers Mississippi State. Maybe Alyssa Lang. Maybe Pablo Escobar. We'll get to it on the other side. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. And this SEC Media Days presentation is brought to you by Paragon Financial Advisors. I'm going to read something that I hope Billy listens to from Bud Elliott. Okay? You've already read it? All right. I'm just going to read it because I just want to get people's thoughts, all right? He has his original tweet, since everyone else is doing it, my first stab at the projected SEC standings. Yes, it adds up to 72 and 72. Texas A&M finishing 8th in the conference at 5-4. Jay Pops, friend of the show, says, man, he gets on the YouTube page, he chats. Man, I just don't get this bull crap. This guy loves to give Mike Elko an A&M, but anywho, we'll revisit this when the season ends. Which then Bud Elliott, who I don't know if he's ever done the show. Has Bud Elliott done the show? Once. One time. Size. I like Mike Elko. I think he'll do huge things there. A&M's average conference opponent last year had an SP plus rating of 9.
SP plus, look out.
This year, it's 14.5. That's a 60% jump in conference opponent difficulty. The A&M 2025 conference schedule was a joke. My model knows it's 2026.
So he's a model guy.
He's glamour.
Listen, man.
Model mayhem.
I think there's a reason that I don't typically. I think the last time period I dealt with Bud Elliott was when Jimbo was coming here, and I was kept consistently being told that it wasn't going to happen, or he was kind of back and forth with it when the whole time I knew it was. He does a great job with their podcast. I don't really listen to it. It's a time thing, I think it's quality when I see stuff. But I think what he's doing right now is sitting somewhere and just rage baiting the SEC.
Yeah, recently he's been doing a lot of that.
Much like Danny Cannell, it just, for a lot of people, it works, and I'm fine with it. I can disagree with it. I can tune it out. It doesn't anger me, but I see what's happening. So I don't think him picking A&M 5-4. I've seen plenty of rage bait from him towards the SEC this week, and some of it I think is really, really like off base with this SEC hate, especially for a guy that generally, cut his teeth covering the ACC. But that wasn't an example of that. Like, if you want to pick A&M to go 5-4 in the SEC, I'm not going to fight you over it. I mean, I don't think. I think if you're going to pick LSU to go 5-4 in the SEC, if you're going to pick almost anyone, and I'm telling you, I don't think like Tech. I don't know Georgia's schedule. I know it's a little easier than most. If Texas went 5-4, how shocking would it be when they were that close to losing 4 SEC games a year ago?
Right.
They were 2 overtimes against 2 of the worst teams in the league from being 4-4 in the conference, right? 2 overtimes.
Yep.
Kentucky and Mississippi State. Think about that. For them to even do that this year would not be shocking. Oh, what would they do? Well, they lost on the road at A&M. They lost on the road at Tennessee. They lost on the road at LSU, and they lost to OU. That doesn't even count Ole Miss. Like, it doesn't even count stubbing your toe against a Florida or on the road at Missouri, like what they almost did last year. So 5-4 for A&M, it's not an insult to predict that.
But Billy, the 5-4, I might have them going 5-4 in the SEC. I don't know.
I'm not going to, but 6-3. Like, it's all, certainly. I mean, look at the schedule, and to get to 7 wins in the conference would be. That's a playoff team. My
problem is this model, and here's why.
I don't care about a model.
No, but let me tell you my thoughts. What would the model have said last year heading into the season?
Yeah.
Your model is based on last year.
Yeah. What would it have said about Lagway in Florida?
Correct.
What would it have said about
LSU last year?
LSU and Nussmeier and Sellers in South Carolina. I think that is the one variable that no one here, coaches, media, national, local, beat, nobody can predict, or especially this year. By the way, I was sitting in there for Lane Kiffin. What a filibuster. It amazes me, though, how many people are going to buy into that and think that he's changed. And he's off social media, man. You guys said the same crap when he was in Oxford and he started taking yoga.
Yeah.
I read all the stuff. I saw all the fluff pieces. He's changed. He's centered in Oxford. He's got no reason to leave. His family's there. He said all that. And he left the way he did. He hasn't grown up. He hasn't changed. He's a damn good coach. And just say that. Just say that. And it's going to be fascinating to watch because he does have a lot of talent, but I think people are also overstating that talent. It's not like he's got overwhelming talent to the Georgia, the Texas, the A&M, the OU, the Ole Miss. It's not like he's trotting out Nick Saban prime Alabama out there. I mean, he's got enough to beat everyone on the schedule, but you're not going to do that 12 times, because several of those 12 games are going to be against teams that have as much talent as you do.
Before I let you go, we're going to get Roman on here in a little while. He mentioned you on SEC this morning, and he said something that you had asked him Do you wish he had more athleticism? And he was bringing it up to those guys. What was that?
Roman said, I asked him that?
I thought he said that, yeah.
I didn't ask him that.
Something about athleticism or something?
It's that joke. It's that joke everybody does. Do you wish you were more athletic? And you trick people kind of go, what are you talking about? It's like me asking you, do you wish you were better at rolling around the mats with people?
Yes, I do wish I was better.
Okay, but it's a trend or whatever, but I didn't ask him.
Oh, he mentioned you this morning.
That's funny.
Yeah, he did.
To y'all or on?
No, on SEC this morning.
Well, that's funny because I didn't even say that to him.
Oh,
but whatever. I'm not that funny.
No. Okay. Well, I know you got to catch a flight, so
yeah, we're heading out. There's your boy John Daly.
He is my boy. They would get along great.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because you and him do so many of the same things.
Now that you mention it like that, there's probably nothing that we do the same.
He's awesome. What a great sports character right there.
Yeah, he is.
Anyway, we got TexAgs kickoff
Saturday.
If you need me, you can give me a call. I'm available over the phone the rest of this show.
All right, buddy.
Something crazy pops off in here.
I'm glad you're finally listening to me and getting to your flight on time.
I'm still not.
Technically, you are. You're leaving early.
Thanks.
Way to go.
I'm leaving this show early. I got to be out of here now.
All right, get out of here. That's Billy Liucci, the executive editor, the co-owner of TexAgs. And I wanted to, because we got a couple minutes here to BS before we have Brian Hadad, I wanted to talk about, does fit matter? Yesterday, Moscona was on, he was talking about Brian Kelly, and then we've had some other guys talking about Brian Kelly didn't fit, and, did Jimbo fit? And now it's Kalen DeBoer. That's the big top. Does Kalen DeBoer fit, a cultural fit with Alabama? And I think for me, if a coach wins somewhere, fit doesn't matter. Fit buys you time, though, but it doesn't matter as long as you win. You don't have to fit. You can fit if a little bit, but fit buys you time. Winning cures everything. A natural fit can, I believe, create goodwill with your people, right? Mike Elko feels like a great fit for Texas A&M. He's a Jersey guy. He's not like your traditional Texan, if you will, right? But blue collar, lift up your sleeve, defensive-minded, a fit for what Texas A&M is. A natural fit will create goodwill with donors, former players, recruits, and fans, and that helps support a coach surviving maybe a little bit of turbulence. But fit cannot save consistent underachieving. It cannot. Like Brian Kelly underachieved at LSU. His first year, he probably overachieved getting to the SEC championship game, but overall, he underachieved. But when he somewhat overachieved that first year or achieved what he was supposed to, the fake accent did not matter, right? The dancing on the stage, grinding with his recruits did not matter. The moment it doesn't work, then the fit that everybody else talks about is apparent. Kalen DeBoer will be embraced as long as he wins, right? They say that he's not a cultural fit. I don't know him well enough. He's not Nick Saban. Steve Sarkisian, to me, I knew a lot about him before he got to Texas, but he seems to fit. But if he doesn't win, he doesn't fit. Lane Kiffin, to me, seems like a perfect fit for what LSU is. Naturally suited for that personality. He's brash, cocky, also a little bit socially awkward at times. So fit goes a long way. Can you recruit? Because you might be, you might be a Hollywood kind of guy and you come to a small town, but you get all the recruits in the world and you start winning. Like Lane Kiffin, I don't know if anybody thought that was going to be a good fit for Ole Miss. He won. It was a good fit. Fit is often a code word for personality. So can winning overcome cultural awkwardness? Yes, absolutely it can. So does Kalen DeBoer need to change himself? No. He just needs to win. At the end of the day, if Kalen DeBoer wins at Alabama, is Lane Kiffin a better coach than Brian Kelly? Yes, I'd say yes. Would we have said the same thing 4 years ago? I don't know. Because 4 years ago, Lane hadn't done it at the highest level and had consecutive 10-win seasons and quarterbacks that should have won the Heisman. And Brian Kelly was the Notre Dame head coach. You would have probably not said that. Again, though, Lane won, Brian Kelly did not. So sometimes, though, being too comfortable as a fit reduces your urgency. So there are many ways of landing. So to me, just to close this out, fit affects doubt, right? Fit, but it's winning that determines whether the doubt matters. All right, so what we'll do here moving forward, in a few minutes, we're going to be joined by Brian Hadad. Brian is he covers Mississippi State. Chit chat about, we don't get Mississippi State this year, which
is weird.
It is weird because we've covered them so much. But I also think when it comes to Mississippi State, like, I don't know if I want to face them. They're one of those teams you're supposed to beat,
but they're good.
But they can beat you.
Yeah, going into last year, I had that thought. I was like, they should handle business, but it could get interesting.
And it's always interesting with Mississippi State. So, anyway.
We'll also have Neal McCready later on in the program today.
Ole Miss Insider. Yeah. Look at that.
Your boy.
I like
Friend
him
of
a
the
lot.
show.
Yeah. I like him. I think he does a great show. He knows Ole Miss very well, and he's not an Ole Miss homer. In fact, I think he's from Arkansas. So, anyway, the Association of Former Students wants to know, do you have any great Aggie stories that you would like to share with the Aggie Network? Did you travel somewhere and take an amazing picture with your Aggie ring? By the way, I can't wear my Aggie ring because I'm wearing this dumb thing. I'll take it off. I still can't fit it on here. Anyway, did you give back to the association? Hey, dump that, by the way. Did you give back to the Association of the Former Students? You want to share what inspires to what to do, where you impacted firsthand by the power of the Aggie Network. The association is always on the hunt for good Bull stories to feature on Facebook, on Instagram, LinkedIn, and X or YouTube, and they help you by sending your pictures in. If you have a story to share, please email social@aggienetwork.com. That is social@aggienetwork.com for a chance to be featured. It is the Association of Former Students.
I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test, or closing in on a deal or getting ready for TexAgs Live, you never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. Zero sugar. I'm all in for that. Or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going, you use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart? Packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper, pure results. It's Catalyst.
We're back here on TexAgs Live on SEC Media Days. Digital Row, brought to you by our good friends at Paragon Financial Advisors. Our dear friend, Brian Hadad, Sports Talk Mississippi, 3 to 6. And I don't know if you added this to your Twitter account recently, your X account. The state's preeminent podcaster from Ben Portnoy, who now is with the Wall Street Journal or something?
Sports Business Journal, yeah.
Sports Business Journal, yeah.
He wrote an article about, first off, Ben Portnoy is my handsome young son. He worked in Starkville for a while, kind of, all the young guys in Starkville I kind of care for.
Yeah.
Like they can't get back home for Thanksgiving, so they come to my house.
Oh, great, yeah.
Like that. And he wrote an article about Radio Row and the evolution of it, and he referred to me as that. And I really thank him for it because I thought it was hilarious.
So, talk to me about the podium today. Were you able to take any in of Lane, or did you read about Lane?
Let me tell you something. I've cut as much Lane Kiffin out of my life as I possibly can. I had 5 years of him at Ole Miss, and then having to deal with that. He cut all social media out. I'm cutting out him entirely. I'll deal with him when State plays LSU. Beyond that, it's just noise. It's just background noise.
Well, let me ask you though: do you think he's a really good coach?
He's an outstanding coach.
Okay.
You can make a strong case that he's the best coach in college football that has not won a national title. And I think that time will probably come for him at LSU. And I'll be honest with you, if he had stayed at Ole Miss, I could play the debate on did they do better with him without him last week, but he would have had a chance. Would have had a chance last year with the team that he had, and he's left them a team that's outstanding. They have superstar players, so he's a really, really good football coach. In statement,
Brian, I mean this with all due respect, I really do, but I'm glad. I always look forward to the Mississippi State game, but I don't, right? And what I mean by that is there's nothing to gain for A&M. And I'm not saying that A&M's arrived. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But, it feels like A&M is supposed to beat Mississippi State. I can hear that, too.
Yeah.
That A&M is supposed to beat Mississippi State. But Mississippi State's always been a very hard win for A&M and other programs. And I just think Jeff Lebby's doing it right. So I'm glad that A&M doesn't have to play Mississippi State because that's a game you're supposed to win that you might not win.
And think about it with the way the schedule worked. It would have been in Starkville this year if they had played a game last year in College Station. State is a program that is figuring things out. I hate going back to it. I hate making excuses, but something happened at Mississippi State that had never happened in college football when your head coach dies.
Yeah.
And again, 4 years after the fact now, it shouldn't still be a reason you're struggling, right? In the transfer portal era, you can rebuild your program. They should have been able to do that by now. But I think a lot of people right now look at Mississippi State and they say, what you said, that's a game we should win. I don't think in the SEC you just look at a game and go, we'll win. I don't think you say anything's just a surefire W. But Mississippi State is a team that, yes, people are going to say that about. But then if you look deeper at Mississippi State and you see that they, defensively, bringing Zach Arnett back, experienced guy. He's got a All-American cornerback that shuts down half of the field for him. He's got good players. And then on the offensive side of the ball, Jeff Lebby knows how to coach offense. He's got some good skill position guys. And he has a potential superstar at the quarterback position. And this is a guy that has all the physical tools you want. If he can just figure it out in terms of being a quarterback, the sky is the literal limit for him.
All right, I want to go to a little bit to your coaching staff because there's an Aggie connection we'll get to here in a minute. But first, Zach Arnett coming back. And it's weird because he had so much respect his previous time there before he became the head coach, right?
Yeah.
And then he lost it all. So has it been awkward?
It hasn't really. Now, first off, Lebby is one of those like the Saban Kiffin. We don't talk to assistants. We'll get them one time before the season. That's it. So I've seen Arnett around a couple times. I haven't had a chance to speak with him. I don't think it's super awkward because Mississippi State fans watched how bad they were defensively the last 2 years, and they know Zach Arnett can fix that. This is a guy who's done it before at Mississippi State. He was on Ole Miss's staff when they had the best defense in college football 2 seasons ago. He is a good, hard-nosed defensive coach for a team that has been missing good, hard-nosed defense. He brings back Matt Brock with him. That's another guy that you trust. You know what you're getting with him. I think Mississippi State fans, they love Zach Arnett. They wanted it to work for him so badly when Mike was up because he stepped into the void. He's like, I'll take this program. It didn't work out. He wasn't ready for that job. But I think Mississippi State fans, by and large, they have welcomed Zach Arnett back to Starkville.
Ty Warren.
Yeah.
D-line coach. We love Ty. He's been on the show several times. What has he brought to that defensive line?
some youth. Before that, you had David Turner, who's one of the most experienced, well-known defensive line coaches, but a guy that was very open about, I'm not really into the new way to recruit players.
Yeah.
I think Ty Warren has jumped in with that. I'll be interested to see what he does, because he's got some good pieces there, including another former Aggie, Dalen Evans, who I think is going to play a big role for Mississippi State this year. Brings back some of his experienced guys in Calvin Dinkins and Trevion Williams. And if Will Woodson is going to be healthy this year, if you watch, he only played 6 quarters last year. That's the 6 best quarters of defensive line play for Mississippi State, probably since Jeff Levy, Jeff Simmons, and Montez Sweat left. He was really, really good. Then he tears his ACL. If he's good, he's a difference maker for Mississippi State. So Ty Warren has got some talented pieces to work with.
Kamario Taylor, we talked a little bit about him earlier, but he's got all the skills, right? All the tools. Is he a name that if he were at a different school, we'd be talking about differently?
Yeah. If he was even with the small amount of experience he has, if he had done what he did for Mississippi State at the end of the season for Texas A&M, he would be a huge story here. And he's still a big story. I've talked to a bunch of people.
Everybody knows his game, yeah.
Yeah, Nick Saban was even talking about him just yesterday. But when you're the quarterback of a team that went 5-8 last year, which is a really weird record to say out loud, that's just the way that it goes. That's the way that it works. So, yes, he is a guy that people know right now. There's a chance that by the end of the season, everybody in the country knows who Kamario Taylor is.
Brian, what would be considered a good year for Mississippi State? And what would be a great year outside of making a play? Obviously, that'd be great. But
the scenario for State where everything goes right, and there are 3 things that have to go right. Kamario Taylor is not just good, he's not just great, he's a star. The offensive line, which was the worst in college football last year, it doesn't even have to be great. It doesn't really good. Man, I'll take average from what they had last year. Defensively, I feel like they're going to be better with Arnett and the talent they have there. Yep. If those 3 things happen, this can be a team that finishes as a top 25 team. If they could be 8-4, they could be maybe get to 9-3. There's a lot of upsets in 9-3, but that's your best case scenario. A good season would just be 7-5. Now that schedule's super tough. It's going to be hard to win 7 games. It could be a situation where you're saying, well, they went 6-6, but they were a lot better than last year. I don't know though, when you're Jeff Lebby and you went 2-10 and then 5-8, if you're 6-6, how much are your fans still bought into you?
Sure.
So they need to take a step forward this year. If they could find a way to win 7, I think everybody's fine. You move forward into next year with Kamario Taylor, a second year as a starter, and you build around him.
Let's say they win 8, okay, just for kicks and giggles. Can they keep Jeff Lebby?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think, he's got a lot of salary room to grow. He's only making 4.5, 4.6 right now because he came in as a first-time head coach.
Yep.
They could easily put $3-4 million on top of that right now. I've always said this: when Leach passed away, he was probably going to go up to about $7 million a year if he had stayed. But because he didn't, State money was a problem for State when Jeff Lebby got here. State's NIL was in a terrible spot. Their funding was not in a great spot. I give Zach Selman a ton of credit for the job he's done raising money. It seems like every other week we're seeing a new 7-figure gift to Mississippi State athletics. If teams came calling, if Jeff Lebby wanted to stay, he would stay.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be worried about anybody poaching him.
Brian, great job, buddy.
Anytime,
thanks for. The funny part was Brian had to remind me Mississippi State was talking today because yesterday was such a whirlwind. I'm trying to remember who's supposed to go.
It's also weird that A&M not on the schedule for State or Ole Miss. Yeah, this is the first time that A&M hasn't been on the schedule for State since they've been in the conference.
That's right.
So, see you next year.
Yes, sir. We'll get you on the show again. Thank you very much. We'll hit a break. We'll come back. Roman Harper on the other side. My longtime friend captures people's stories. He captures your memories with Heritage Films. You can check it out at yourheritagefilm.com. He makes high-quality documentaries. We're talking HBO, Netflix, AE style, for your friend, your mother, your grandmother, whoever it may be. He tells people stories, and he's amazing at it. Do you want your kids and your grandkids knowing about your life, your drive? Let the Chance tell that story, and you're going to love it. Documentaries don't have to be about famous people. It's about just normal people, about your normal business, your family business, whatever it may be. Do it for birthdays, Father's Day, anniversaries. Just let Chance and his team capture that moment. Trust me, you will regret it if you don't do it. Check it out at yourheritagefilm.com. That is yourheritagefilm.com. It is Heritage Films.
What's up, everybody? I'm here to tell you about Fratello Italian Cafe. If anyone knows anything about Italian food, it's me, Billy Liucci. and Fratella has the best Italian food in BCS. Located at 3901 South Texas Avenue, Fratella is known for their handmade pasta dishes and feature lasagna, beef cannelloni, chicken parmesan, chicken fettuccine alfredo, a couple of my favorites, just a big old bowl of plain old spaghetti and some manicotti. Really recommend the manicotti. That's my go-to. And don't walk out of there without trying the fresh, piping hot breadsticks and the homemade in-house cheesecake, which is incredible. It's great for dining in, catering, gift cards, and even shipping, which they do nationwide. Fratella's is Aggie-owned and operated, and is an official restaurant partner of Texas A&M Athletics. I'll see you there.
Let's jump right into it. Roman Harper joining us here on TexAgs Live. What's up, son?
What's up? How are you?
I'm good. Sorry, I went 1995 on you. How you been?
No, I mean, 1995 wasn't bad for me. It was good.
How old were you in 1995?
13.
13, okay.
Yeah. How old were you?
I was graduating high school.
Oh, nice. So
Yeah.
you had a better time than I did.
Yeah.
But you were like in the prime, like MTV spring break
Yes.
days.
Yeah.
Like I was like watching that, like, dude, I totally wish
I could be there.
Yeah, I went to one of those, not MTV, but I did go to some fun spring breaks, but I won't get into that on the air.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Well, in Texas, are you from Texas?
Yeah.
So you go down to San Padre and all that?
We went to Florida.
Oh, you went to Florida, even better.
Yeah, we went to Florida and Cancun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. I went to Florida too.
Hey, so let's talk about Mike Elko and the program he's building. What do you think?
Big fan of Mike Elko. The dude can coach.
Yeah.
Like flat out coach and get it done. So I trust whatever he's building defensively that they're going to be just fine. A couple years ago, everybody's like, oh, they lost all these guys in the portal and all those top tier guys from the number one class that everybody thought was the golden age of Texas A&M. It was addition by subtraction.
Yep.
Those guys left and they got better because it's all about the minor details when you're playing for Mike Elko defense. He's going to have you lined up right. He's going to be very creative on third downs. So getting to third downs, winning on first and second down, you're going to have a lot of success. And the way they create and simulate pressure is so good by who they send, the looks that they give. It confuses offensive linemen. They get one-on-ones and that what they want, right? Like they want their best pass rusher on one of your guys trying to block them, and their guy wins. So they create these things as well. It's not just by accident that happens. And so Mike and those guys do a great job. It's really, really fun to watch and to break down their film. But ultimately, it's also going to be complementary football.
Yep.
So how does the offense handle it as well? They got a lot of wide receiver talent. It's a lot of speed. Different sizes. Isaiah Horton coming over from Alabama should help them out. And Marcel Reed's got to continue to take that step. If he continues to understand that, the ball is worth millions, right? It controls the emotions, the job security of everybody in this building. Yeah. You got to understand that. So when you take care of it, we're all good. And if you don't take care of it, somebody's going home. And so you got to understand that. I think Marcel Reed is a great quarterback. I'm a big fan of his. He's my son's favorite player.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, my God. My son plays with him on the video game. Yeah. He loves Marcel Reed. So shout out Marcel Reed, wherever he is right now. I like that suit he's got on. But and I think he will do that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he's not the reason why they – everybody's going to blame him for that Miami loss because of interception. I think the coach needs to remind him, hey, look, you can throw the ball to the back of the end zone, too. We got time for another play. Mm-hmm. You don't have to force this one. And then defensively, you guys can't let Stewart go for 70, 80 yards, just pound the rock on you.
Exactly right.
When you're the defensive team. That's what I mean. You got to play complementary football when the offense needs it. That was a defensive struggle, and nobody can make a kick on that end zone.
Right.
Like when nobody understands that unless you were there. I was in the stadium that day. That wind was crazy, swirling on one end. You just couldn't kick the ball, and so it affected both kickers, both teams, and you had to play the game differently because of the way the wind and what everything was that morning. And it Miami knew that they were going to try and pound the rock and take advantage of Texas A&M, who was not as big as they were up front.
Roman, one of the things that I've learned about Coach Elko, he doesn't say something unless he really believes it, and he believes in this secondary. He really feels good about that. I think he said it's the best secondary he's had at A&M, including his DC days. So have you seen anything about Ricky Gibson played at a high level at Tennessee. Des Ricks has come up the system, played at Alabama for a little bit. What do you think about this secondary?
I want to see them create more turnovers, get their hands on the ball more. I think they play a lot of quarters. They do a lot of trap coverage. They mix up things. It's an NFL-friendly system because of all the different looks and things that they do. They do a lot more press. They don't really play off all the time. But these guys got to make plays. I thought last year they were good. But everybody talked about how good they were, but it's really because of how good the pressure was up front.
Sure.
And so if I don't have to cover that long, I'm good. And you always what I look at Texas A&M, I always think, well, if I can protect, then I can take advantage. And so as long as I block them, I'm not worried about the secondary. That perception has to change. And the only way to do it is you got to make plays on the ball.
Yeah.
You got to get the ball out. You got to get your hands on it. You got to get interceptions. You got to get PBUs. You got to make people feel threatened that you can't throw it over here. And that starts by knocking the ball down and challenging these guys. And so I want to see that part of it. And I can't speak it because the perception is still reality for me.
Sure. Isaiah Horton, what does he do for that offense that they didn't have before?
I think he gives them another big wide receiver presence. Mario Craver is not that big. Fast as all get out. But
but just size-wise, I need more. And so Bethel Roman, I always forget his first name. And Ashton Bethel Roman. And because I always just remember Roman.
Yeah.
That's like easy for me. But yeah, he's another good player that should get more touches this year. And so without Casey Concepcion. So I want to see what this wide receiver group is going to be, especially because the OC is a former wide receiver coach. So nobody wants to get the wide receiver the ball more than the wide receiver coach.
Absolutely.
So it's like I want to see how all this works out. And can you guys stay healthy at running back? That's been a big problem for you guys. It's just the health of the running back. When healthy, you guys have been really good. But they have not been able to stay healthy at a consistent basis. So, you got to get a little bit lucky and you got to win. And can you beat your rival?
Yeah, that is, to me, it's not the most important thing, but it's up there. Right?
It comes to a point where Texas A&M's won a little bit so much where Elko's kind of reset the benchmark where, it's Ohio State where nobody cares you go 10-0 if you don't beat Michigan. Right. We'd love to go to the playoffs and all that. We checked a lot of boxes last year, but we want to beat Texas.
Yeah. You got to beat Texas and win in the playoffs.
That's it. And, last year was a great opportunity because at home, the crowd was there. The crowd was ready.
Yeah.
The DJ, shout out to the DJ.
Yeah.
I like him. I forget his name at the stadium.
He does great. No, he
does his thing. Yeah. So shout out to him as well. It's a great environment. So, but yeah, you got to win those games. And then when you win them, you're like, okay, so box checked, and you start to have a little bit more belief in yourself.
Rum, appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank
always
you
great
guys
to talk
always.
to you. Yeah, Rum and Harper here on TexAgs Live. We'll hit a break. We'll come back. Probably play an interview that I've recorded here on the program, so we'll do that on the other side, and we'll get to your phone calls and your text messages on TexAgs Live. Right now, we're talking about Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. When you're looking for a new vehicle, that's the place to go. I had a vehicle situation with another dealership in town, and let's just say, I ain't going to say who they are because I don't know. I don't want to, but they didn't do what I thought they were going to do. And one thing I can tell you about Caldwell Country Chevrolet, they always do what they promise. They do. Like, even if they have to take care of it themselves, sometimes places ship their warranty stuff to other places. I tell you, the folks at Caldwell Country Chevrolet have always done me right, and they'll do you right there as well. And when you're looking for a new vehicle, it's the place to go, right? They're going to help you out with the trade-in value, and you're going to really love the vehicle that you get at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. It's about a 15-minute drive. The edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the good people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. Y estamos aquí, TexAgs Live. I'm going to read this real quick from the YouTube page. Bruce Wayne, 21. Should we do a TexAgs field trip to my ranch and bring the crew fishing or reserve that for Nuno and his fam? Let's do both. Nick can do like a shooting demonstration. You like to go pow pow, like you're a big shooter.
Yeah. Shooting's fun.
There's only one big shooter in our office, but you like to shoot.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you're a shooter. Anyway, let's find out about Georgia football, shall we? Rusty Mansell covers Georgia. He joined me for a conversation on the Georgia Bulldogs.
All right, welcome back. We'll talk a little Georgia football here on our SEC Media Days coverage brought to you by Paragon Financial Advisors. Our guest is Rusty Mansell, the owner and publisher of Dogs HQ, and of course, they're part of the On3 network.
Yeah, part of On3, yep. Mm-hmm.
So, all right, I feel like Georgia is a team that people always say is 1 or 2, but they're still down on Georgia.
There's always a but.
Yeah, there's always a but.
Yeah.
Why do you think that? Is it because of the current state of college football?
I think it is, and your history, like your recent history.
Right.
So you look at 21 and 22, and then you look at 23. I think they won like 30-some games in a row, almost 28 games in a row. Then you lose at Alabama in the SEC championship, and you don't get in the playoffs in 23 when probably one of the best 2 or 3 teams that didn't make it. Then you have that, you lose down in Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl, and then you lose to Ole Miss last year in the Sugar Bowl. So it's kind of that recent history. It's almost like, they've won back-to-back SEC championships, but there's that but, yeah.
Well, and I feel like Gunner falls into that but as well. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody knows he's really good, but very rarely do we hear him talked about in that upper echelon of SEC quarterbacks.
Yeah, I've talked about this whole week. The Ole Miss game last year, where they put 43 on Ole Miss, and then the Texas game at Athens. 2 of the best performances I've ever seen. He had 6 touchdowns against Texas.
Right.
And then you go into some of those games where he didn't, you have moments like what's going on there. I think it's the consistency, but overall as a first-year starter, facing the expectations he did, I thought he had a great year.
When you talk about Texas and Georgia's, domination of them, and
3 in a row.
3 in a row. Yeah,
Yep.
that domination is maybe a little bit much, but I think 3-0. Do you guys worry about them this year from a faux standpoint? Are they somebody that's got your attention?
I think the Will Muschamp hire is one that I would, if I'm a Texas fan, I'd be very excited about.
Okay.
Because I've been very upfront. I was last year. Some Texas fans got in me. I said, I don't know if Texas wants to fight anybody. Like, they look good. They're the shiny car. They're put together. They're abbed up, and they walk on the beach. They actually want to get in a fight. And when they come to Georgia, and when they play Georgia, I know Georgia will fight you. I think that toughness factor, I think Sark understood it. Mm-hmm. I think for whatever reason, he went and got Will Muschamp, a guy that knows Georgia. He's been in Alabama, LSU, knows he's been around Nick Saban. I think he thought we need to be better on that side of the ball, and he went and got who I think is one of the best defensive minds. Obviously, Coach Boom, and people understand him, but this guy's a hell of a football coach, and I think Sark reached out. This is what I think we need to get to that next level.
So it's hard to say this, but it's an SEC schedule. So we know an SEC schedule is never easy, especially when you add a 9th game.
Yeah.
But considering what it's been the last couple of years, how do we look at this schedule?
Well, you drop Texas, drop Tennessee, which is always a hell of a rivalry. Yeah. You pick up South Carolina, which is going to be good. You go there, but you pick up Arkansas, who's under a first-year coach. So an SEC schedule is still tough, but you look at it on the outside looking in, that's a pretty good trade-off, I would think, based off what you've had. But at the end of the day, man, you still got a gauntlet. Everybody's going through a gauntlet, and it's just so tough. I know people around the country are tired of hearing that, but I promise you, you don't understand it until you sit in this schedule and go through it. Texas A&M fans know, Texas fans, Georgia fans, everybody understands. Where are you at in December after going through that? And, oh, by the way, we're at another game.
So how ridiculous is it that A&M has been in the conference since 2012?
I mean, what the hell, man?
And you all have played, or Georgia has played, Texas 3 times.
We will have been to Alabama 3 times and have not. Georgia is going to Tuscaloosa for the 3rd time without going to Texas A&M College Station.
That's ridiculous.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah.
Georgia fans are super excited. Yeah. That's the next game. I don't know. Obviously, Texas A&M's not going to give them much. That's the next game that Georgia fans are like, we can't wait to go out there and see this place. College Station is a great environment, one of the best in the country. Let's go out there and play. Yeah. I'm sure Kirby probably wouldn't want to, let's sign up for it.
Sure.
But he would want his kids to experience that. It's a great environment, and it's just crazy, man.
I was so happy to hear Kirby talk about that SEC championship game and the grind that is the SEC. Now you're adding the 9th game. Let's just talk a little bit about that, too, because it's going to be uncharted waters for everybody.
Yep.
And Georgia's a team that is probably more prepared for it than anybody else because they've been doing it.
Yeah, well, and listen, Didn't get a chance to ask him, but I would like to ask him because, they went through the bye. It didn't work against Notre Dame. Whatever, didn't work. Last year, they did some things different, did some simulated scrimmage games, all that, tried to do it. That didn't work. If you're facing that bye again, what are you going to do? Right. What's different? What have you learned this time? So that SEC game, listen, I know what everybody says publicly. Nobody wants any part of that. No. Nobody wants any part of that. I mean, can you imagine Texas A&M going through the gauntlet and then Texas A&M going, you know what, damn, we're going to play Georgia and Atlanta next week, and then if we win that game, we're off for 30 days, and God knows what's going to happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just crazy, man, the way that's set up for everybody.
I'm curious what you guys think about Coach Elko and what he's been able to do in the short time. Not that he's similar to Kirby, but there are some similarities.
Sure. Yeah. Well, listen, I'm going to take the credit because when I'm wrong, I don't want to put. I was the guy that stood on this table last year on another podcast and said Texas A&M's making the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I remember all the Texas fans coming at me on social media. I said, we'll revisit this. I just really felt like this guy's a great football coach. I think he was the right fit there. I think Texas A&M is just as good as anybody in the country. They got all the resources. They look like a national championship team when they get off the bus. There's no different. When you physically look at Texas A&M, there's no difference in Texas and Georgia and Ohio State. They look like what you're supposed to look like. I just think Elko was a great fit. And I've talked to some guys that's been at Texas A&M before, coaching-wise, and they're like, dude, it's a ticking time bomb there. And who knows, that thing might be about to go off.
You think this year they can still be in that conversation?
I think it comes down to Marcel Reed. You know what I mean? You got to have – and there's a lot of schools in the same boat. But here's the thing. It's different in this landscape than it was, say, 5 years ago. You got to have a quarterback that can get you 3 wins in January. And nobody's done – like, that's something new. Mm-hmm. Marcel Reed might could have won that big game in January 1. Gunnar Stockton might have won that big game January 1, but can you win January 1, 8th, and 22nd?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly right.
You got to go through a gauntlet of 3, so we'll find out. But I do think that I'm pretty confident that Texas A&M will have those pieces around him. But there's several teams with that, obviously the quarterback position, but I think this Marcel Reed coming back as an experienced guy, how far can he take you?
Let me ask a question. Is it fair the way people come after Kalen DeBoer and what he's done at Alabama based on what Nick Saban did? And look, last year I know wasn't good enough. I recognize that. They did win a playoff game.
Yep.
They did go to the SEC championship game. It wasn't a great finish. Yep. We know. But is it fair? And if the roles were reversed, would people be talking about Kirby the same way?
I don't think that's there's a question of like fair. When you go to Alabama, there's only one goal.
Yeah.
And then you follow the greatest coach maybe ever in the history of the game, and Nick Saban. Nobody said, hey, appreciate you being here. Let's take 2 losses next year and rebuild. There wasn't any of that. So, when you take that job, and I know some people that were probably involved in that, and I'm not sure that there were a whole lot of people in line to go, I want that. I want that smoke. It's different. It is a fan base that you're supposed to win the national championship every year. We're not a third round playoff team. We're trying to win the national championship. So fair, that's just the way it is at Bama.
Rusty, I'm one that still thinks that Kirby's the best coach in America. Okay, I understand Kirk Cignetti. He won a national championship in Indiana. He's got to be in the mix.
Hell of a job.
How close is Cignetti to you, to Kirby, or has he surpassed him?
This is a huge year because I'll say this. Indiana made a man out of me. I kept saying there ain't no way. And 10 years from now, I might be sitting around going, there's no way Indiana did that.
Right.
Hell of a run. I will say this. I think that Kirk Cignetti is an unbelievable coach. I think everything went right for them. I think he hit lightning in the bottle. He had a quarterback. They had those James Madison transfers. Yeah. Those guys were damn good. They hit on some transfers. I want to see you do it again. And I'm not saying win a national championship again. I want to see you 11-2.
Yeah.
If you show me you're 11-2, you're who everybody thinks you are. But if you go back and you're 8-4, hold up now. Were you kind of a one-hit wonder? Were you a one-hit wonder with a first-round draft pick number over a quarterback? Georgia did everything they could to get Fernando Mendoza. I mean, they were that close. When they're sitting in Kirby Smart's living room, and it's Zach Branch and Fernando Mendoza, and they're both like, we're about to roll here. That guy was the real deal. And credit Indiana. They got him, and they won a national championship with it. I do think Kirk Cignetti is a hell of a football coach. This is the year. Listen, when Kirby Smart started at Georgia, went 8-5, I'm telling you, I heard it. I heard all of it. Like, hey, that guy, all he can do is recruit. He goes to the national championship the second year. And then they're like, well, he almost won it. He blew it. He didn't get it. He didn't get there in 19. He didn't get there in 20. He gets back in 21 and 22 and kind of cemented, okay, that's who Kirby Smart is. Right. Cignetti, for me, I'm very interested here. Don't have to win the national championship, but are you that guy that's 11-2, or are we 8-4 going, wait a minute, are we back to Indiana?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Last thing for you. How realistic is it for programs outside of Georgia to be 11-2 consecutively in this kind of climate where we're getting the 9-game schedule, and also 1 through 15, sometimes 1 through 16 can beat you in the SEC.
Dude, every week.
Right.
You know what I mean? I tell people, and you just don't know until you've been there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Am I SEC homer? Hell yes.
Yeah, I am too.
I promise you. I've seen Miami play Florida State. I've been to North Carolina. I've seen all these places. Go to Starkville on a Saturday night with them damn cowbells ringing, and you still got your hands full.
Yeah.
Now you go to Vanderbilt and get your butt beat. You know what I mean? Like, it's no weeks off. Everybody's got money. Everybody's got great players. Until they win a national championship again, they can't really walk in and beat their chest again. But I promise you right now, I don't care who it is. Ohio.
All righty. That's the interview with Rusty Mansell, who covers Georgia. So for more of that, go to TexAgs.com and become a premium subscriber, and go to PKO Saturday. It's TexAgs Live. We'll be back with something at 10 o'clock. I don't know what that is, but it'll be good. Welcome back in. It is TexAgs Live. This SEC Media Days coverage is brought to you by Paragon Financial Advisors. They're Aggie-owned, independent, fee-only fiduciary serving families and business owners nationwide. Visit more at paragon-adv.com here on TexAgs Live. All right, so we are maneuvering, still working on some big-time guests. I know we have a big-time interview scheduled for after the show that we will try to run tomorrow on the program. I'm just going to call it the PF Chang's interview. You can do what you want with the PF. We're working on that, and we'll talk to an Ole Miss insider, Neal McCready, here shortly. So we got a lot of stuff going on. But right now, it is University of Texas going to be talking on the podium, Steve Sarkisian, a little bit later. And, guys, I know sometimes you guys get mad when we talk a little bit about Texas, but let's talk to a guy that I think covers them with a very even keel. His name is Anwar Richardson. Here's my conversation with Anwar.
All right, welcome back to SEC Media Days, brought to you by Paragon Financial Advisors. Talking to a good friend of the program and of TexAgs, Anwar Richardson of Orange Bloods. People don't know this, but we're like quite friendly. You're friends with me, you're friends with Billy. There's not a beef here.
You know, the thing is that there's the Twitter stuff, and then there's like real life. And first of all, okay, don't Texas fans won't see this, right? But I do like Billy a lot. In fact,
no, Texas fans will see this. Trust me. Every time I make a mistake, I know.
No. But there's really no beef. And then when you start thinking about the flagship programs in the state, you don't have to go any further than Texas. You don't have to go any further than Texas A&M. And it's great to see both of these programs really representing at a high level. You got A&M going to the playoffs last year, right? And so that's great. You see A&M is recruiting at a high level. Texas is doing their recruiting. Both teams are going after guys in the transfer portal. So really to represent the state, to see both programs, it's always been one's good, what isn't, and it's always been like that. To see both kind of doing the damn thing and representing the state of Texas, that's been fun to watch. And no, you and I get along great. Bill and I get along great. Just our fan bases that have the bigger issues with each other more so than anything else.
I'd love to get your perspective on this. I've talked about this on the show before.
Okay.
So, I work at TexAgs. I see things through an A&M perspective. Mm-hmm. I'm an A&M fan.
Yeah.
My listeners are all Aggies for the most part. Yes, we have other SEC schools. So I don't want to say I report things. I do a talk show geared to those fans. Mm-hmm. But when I worked at ABC in Houston, I could report differently. And there's a lot of people who say you can't really report on the University of Texas or on Baylor or on Texas Tech if you're an Aggie fan. I'd like your perspective on, yes, depending on, and maybe I do it the wrong way. I'm just curious your perspective. Mm-hmm. You can cover a team through a certain outlet a certain way. It kind of depends on, journalism is journalism. Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about journalism. I'm talking about the infotainment that we provide.
Well, the thing is, okay, now this is like a philosophical journalism question, right? For me, I think journalism has evolved, and I think that TexAgs, Orange Bloods, right? Those two being fan sites, right? And the biggest fan sites that are out there, right? You provide what the audience wants, right? And I think when you start thinking about old school journalism and also the rules that we were all raised on, right? Think about where many of those publications are nowadays. Non-existent. Right. I used to work for the Tampa Tribune for many years ago. We're here in Tampa. I'll take you by my old newspaper. There are condos there right now. That newspaper does not exist, but it was all these old rules. I think people want to have objective coverage, but I think they also understand that they want a little bit of fandom in their coverage. Now, they don't want you to lie to them. Right. They don't want you to, when it's like peeing on my leg and tell me it's raining. They don't want that kind of stuff, but they don't necessarily want someone bashing their team, right? So they come to TexAgs because, hey, you guys are going to give a reporting. It's going to be fair reporting, but there's going to be a little positivity. Same way they're going to come to Orange Bloods, right? It's going to be reporting, some fair reporting, and there might be a little bit of positivity. Now, those who see Jeff Ketchum may not see they may think like, okay, who are you talking about? But, and Jeff's my boy too, of course. I think you got to do what the audience wants. You give them the things that they want, and that's what makes it successful. I don't subscribe to those old school rules. Yeah. I think those old school rules are outdated in today's world of journalism. And that's why you see, when you start seeing all the other websites that have failed, and you start seeing the publications that have gone under, and you see the ones that are thriving in today's market, it's a reflection of that. It's basically understanding like this is what the people want and giving them a blend of everything. And again, that's why I think what makes TexAgs so good, Orange Blood so good, a lot of other publications so good at what they do.
I think both A&M and Texas last year are an interesting case study into this year because both had really good years, right? Texas didn't make the playoffs. They were expected to make the playoffs. They expect that. 9-3. I don't think they looked very good for a big stretch of the season, but they won games. The last two holds a lot of weight and also Arch's trajectory. A&M goes 11-1. They lose in the playoffs. They lose to Texas. Those last two games hold a lot of weight. Who's the real Texas? Who's the real A&M?
Well, it's interesting because if I go to what the real Texas is, I think we'll have a better idea after the season, right? Because Texas took a step back because they went away from the thing that had made them really successful in the previous couple of years, and that was really attacking the transfer portal and going after some of the elite guys that you saw, the Adonai Mitchells of the world. Like, you can go down the list of like a lot of elite guys, and then last year they decided, you know what? We're not going to attack it as hard, right? So we're going to let the Ryan Wingos of the world develop and the Parker Livingstons of the world develop. And, you know, we got Trey Wisner as a running back, and he had 1,000 yards the previous season, so maybe he'll be able to do that. And then, you know, we don't necessarily need to do anything in the offensive line. Like, we'll have these guys, and we'll be okay, even though you're missing certain guys who went to the NFL. And then what Texas quickly realized was that was a mistake, right? And so this year, as you know, they went back to, okay, look, we're going to recruit, we're going to develop, right? We're going to do those kind of things, but the transfer portal is there. And so, you know what? Why don't we go out and get the Cam Colemans of the world and just not overthink it, right? So they went out and they got the Cam Colemans. You know what? Why don't we just go ahead and get the Hollywood Smothers and the Raleek Brown, and then we'll just have a solid backfield. We need help on the offensive line. Let's get the Melvin Siani, that's in here. Let's get a Lawrence Seymour.
All right, jumping back on, Berry Tramel's been covering Oklahoma for how long?
My first game was 1979.
1979, Iowa. Wow.
Iowa came to Owen Field. I was 18 years old. Hayden Fry's second game with the Hawkeyes. Bob Stoops was second game as a Hawkeye safety.
Wow.
And the season opener for the Sooners in 79, yeah. So how long that is, 47 years.
So talk to me about Oklahoma. They seem to be a very trendy pick in the SEC, that Tier 2 teams that could jump into Tier 1. Why? Well, what's your read on it?
Well, I think it's the defense. Venables sort of performed a miracle by restoring the Oklahoma defense to, probably the best defense in the SEC last year. And, no one could envision that. As good as he is as a coordinator, the defensive reputation at Oklahoma had fallen so low.
Right.
In the teens, in the early 20s. And so they made the playoff last year, and they've got a good chunk of that defense back. So, the offense is not up to standard. It's a little bit of the A&M story, really, probably. So it's easier to fix an offense quickly than defense, I think, and I think most people think that. So if John Mateer plays better, if he's healthy, those kinds of things, a couple of the portal guys work out, maybe the offense is better and they can contend.
So what I've read about Mateer, it's similar to, as you said a moment ago, it's like the Marcel story. He's got to cut down on the turnovers. Before his injury, was he still turning the ball over a lot?
It wasn't too bad. He finished 14-11 touchdown to interception ratio. Before the injury, they only had two games that mattered, which were Michigan and Auburn. And he played solid and well and didn't even fall from those goofy preseason Heisman odds.
Yeah.
But the Sooners won one of those games 24-13 and the other one 23-17. It's not like they're playing Baker Mayfield in Lubbock.
Right.
That's not the kind of offense. So we don't really know if Mateer is the answer. He's clearly the quarterback this year, but is he a big-time playmaker, a star? We don't know yet. He didn't show it last year too much when he was healthy, and, of course, after the injury, not at all.
Barry, everybody in the SEC gets a tough schedule, but I find it interesting that Oklahoma's had 3 straight years of a tough schedule. Texas has a tough schedule this year. Their first 2 years, I think you could debate how hard their SEC schedule was. Vanderbilt was obviously a way better program than anybody expected, but that was their first really tough game on the road, which is weird to say out loud, Vanderbilt that year. But how does Oklahoma embrace this SEC landscape?
Well, I mean, I think the fans enjoyed it and thought it was cool, that they're playing Alabama and Tennessee and LSU and, whoever's on the list. But I think they raised their eyebrows at Texas' schedule. And, of course, if people don't know, basically Oklahoma and Texas played each other. That leaves 14 teams. 7 of them played Oklahoma, 7 of them played Texas. And the groupings that you make, it seemed like it fell on Texas' side. Personally, I think it was a backroom deal. I mean, I don't have any evidence of that, but that's just what I think.
That's been over the years we've learned that.
Wouldn't surprise anybody, right? But I mean, like, one of them got to play Ole Miss and one of them got to play Mississippi State. Well, it's the Sooners that got to play Ole Miss.
Right.
One of them got to play Florida, and one of them got to play Georgia and Auburn were the ones that I looked at, and they gave Georgia, Alabama is the one you compare because they clearly are going to split those guys. That's even. Who knows what happened with there? But then like Auburn and Florida, that was pretty even. Vanderbilt, Tennessee. The Sooners drew Tennessee. Turned out Vanderbilt was a tough draw for the Horns. And the inequity didn't turn out, as you mentioned, last year. It wasn't near as bad. But year one was pretty tough. I think that just goes with it. When you sign up for the SEC, that's what you sign up for. And when you walk into a party with Texas, that's sort of what you get too. So I think it's scheduling equity is going to become less of an issue with 9 games, right? And OU and Texas are sort of, along with Georgia, Florida, they're uniquely positioned because, I think Elko mentioned it the other day when he's here, but, we're playing 5 road games in the SEC, which is a monumental assignment. They're going to be 4-4-1 every year because of the game in Dallas. So I think the teams that end up with 5 road games are really don't look at necessarily the names so much as where are you playing. That 5 road game schedule is going to be a pretty tough assignment.
For somebody who's covered Oklahoma since '79, was it a breath of fresh air to cover the SEC? Because it felt like the Big 12 got stale.
Yeah, you know what? It was a breath of fresh air because it was so great and new and all that. But I didn't feel like the Big 12 had gotten stale. I didn't.
Okay.
I'm a guy that loved going to Ames, Iowa. I mean, the Cyclones under Matt Campbell were good, and the Jack Trice Stadium over the years, they've really turned it into a good place to go, and the fans are great. Manhattan's a wonderful atmosphere. It's as good as any atmosphere in America. It's just not as big as the SEC stadiums. So I had not grown stale with the Big 12, but the SEC. And I'm sure the Aggies went through this, 14 years ago, whenever, 2012 was your first year, I guess. But just going to these new places, it's cool to go to LSU.
Yeah.
It's cool to go to Auburn, even if you don't know it until you get there. It's cool to go to Ole Miss. So, yeah, that was, maybe that'll get old 15 years from now, but it's going to take a while for that to get old.
Barry, I think one of the interesting things is when Texas and OU came to the SEC, it was a slam dunk deal. It made all the sense in the world. But in this college football landscape, sometimes if you have the donor base that Oklahoma has or Texas Tech has, it makes sense to stay in the Big 12 today. Maybe not in 5 years, but today.
No, that's a good point. The Sooners, with last year's team in the Big 12, would have done a lot of damage and would have entered, probably with a very similar to what we saw out of Tech, which was a top 4 bye. Now, there's no guarantee that they would have entered 2025 with that same roster.
Right.
SEC's, A&M knows this, it elevates your recruiting. There's people who want to play in the SEC. Now, the NIL might change that, and people making more decisions based on a paycheck. But yeah, you know, Miami is showing us that model right now. Miami's putting that, you know, they don't have a big fan base, but they got people with money to spend, and they had the Renaissance season. So that's that's what you're talking about there, and it's possible. But I think you know, Oklahoma's looking at the long game, and it was a financial decision. Just they want to be where the money's coming, and the money's coming to the SEC. You know, whatever level that's at, it's going to be much more than what the Big 12 gets. So, and the thing about, and you know, A&M, I think, same way. A&M has done a great job since they got in the SEC of keeping the other sports humming pretty good.
Yeah.
And OU and Texas have done that. In 2 years, they've combined for 8 NCAA championships. Team, Texas 5, Oklahoma 3. And Texas, to beat OU 5-3, stole the 2 softball titles. Right. Beat 5-3 Oklahoma, you know. So both of them, really everybody but Missouri that's made the jump has been SEC ready. You know, the difference between an Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and the SEC giants, the only difference is really Nick Saban and maybe Kirby Smart. We're not the dynastic programs, OU, Texas A&M, have not done that. But in every other regard, including the non-football sports, they were ready when they walked in.
How big of a year is this for Brent Venables, considering what he did last year? Does he need to stack a couple of those 10-win seasons together for just a perception?
Yeah, probably so. He's on an AB or BA rotation, and that's no way to live, you know. And they have gone all in on this season. Mm-hmm. You know, they've spent some of next year's money on this year's money. I mean, on this year's roster, knowing that next year probably be a little bit of a step back. So if this season doesn't go well, that does not portend well for the future. But there's no reason why it shouldn't go well, and they believe they can win, and so they've got a senior quarterback. They've got, you know, that defensive core that they were able to retain. Venables and the money have done a great job of retention. He hasn't lost really. He didn't lose any starters really in the portal. They lost some guys that played a lot and they wanted to keep and went elsewhere, but they've done a nice job of keeping people. So everything's tracking well, but they got those 5 heavyweight games and they need to win, you know, 2 or 3 of them at least.
Yeah. Barry, that last stretch for Oklahoma and for Texas A&M as well, going on the road to Norman, it's going to be very difficult for A&M. Do you think by that point we'll know how legit, I mean, you better, it's the last couple weeks of the season, how legit either program is at that point?
Oh, yeah. You know, the Sooners have, they've got a pretty strange schedule. They got 3 games away from Norman in the first 5, and those 3 games are Michigan, Georgia, and Texas. So that's a load. And then in November, back-to-back Saturdays, you're looking at Ole Miss and A&M.
Yep.
So in the middle, you know, it's a little softer. So if they can survive the first 5 weeks and come out 3-2 at least, then, you know, they can get hot and be pretty high in the discussion. But a rough start would make for a really trepidatious season because, you know, even if you build up some momentum, there's the Rebels, there's the Aggies waiting at the end. And, you know, you hadn't played A&M since the Johnny Manziel Cotton Bowl. Yep. And that's right, isn't it? I think that's right.
Yep.
So, and they played Ole Miss twice. You know, haven't beaten Ole Miss. You know, they're 2-1 against Alabama, 0-2 against Ole Miss. So Mississippi will have their attention. So yeah, it's a little bit of a strange schedule. They don't even have a 1AA team. You know, they got UTEP, but the game 3, New Mexico, you know, they scheduled that game to win 70-3, and now all of a sudden Mexico's actually halfway good. So you sort of got to gear up for that one. So, but that's what we want. It's what I want in college football. I love the SEC's 9-game schedule. I love the fact that everybody's still playing a power conference team, except I guess Ole Miss. what they get Washington State grandfathered in, I think. And it's not just that everybody's playing a power conference opponent. Almost everybody's playing a good one. I mean, like below Ohio State and Michigan, you still got Arizona State. Yeah. You got Florida State, which is certainly interesting. You got Baylor playing Auburn. So you got legitimate games. Louisville playing Ole Miss. That's who. Yeah, Ole Miss playing Louisville, right? Yeah, I think that's right.
That's right.
So they've done a nice job not just filling that gap of Power 4 opponents, but it's quality. Yeah. So we're looking at a 10-game schedule. The SEC last year played 22% of the football games involving an SEC school. 22% were virtual exhibitions. And we've moved away from that, and it's a lot less now, and I think that's great for the SEC. We'll see how it affects the playoff, but this is where we got to get to. We got to get to, if we're going to pay players like this, if you're demanding a lot of money from your fans, from your donors, you can't be loading up with 2 or 3 rum-dum games. So I think the SEC's going in the right direction.
Barry, this was fantastic. Thanks for your time.
You bet. Good luck to the Aggies.
Thank you very much. Barry Tramel from the Tulsa World. We'll hit a break here. Come back, I think, the Chase Daniel chit-chat, and then we'll see we got somebody at 10:35. We'll talk a little Ole Miss. There's something special about the Aggie Network. It's built on trust, relationships, and people looking out for one another. That's exactly how Aggie-owned and operated Paragon Financial Advisors approaches financial planning. From their headquarters in College Station, they serve several families, individuals, and business owners nationwide with independent fee-only fiduciary advice. So if you are preparing for retirement, growing your investments, building your business, or planning for the eventual sale of that business, Paragon works alongside you every stage of the journey. No commissions, no sales products, just personalized financial planning and investment management designed around your goals. Learn more or schedule your complimentary consultation at paragon-adv.com. Paragon Financial Advisors, Aggie-owned, independent, serving clients nationwide. Welcome back to our SEC Media Days coverage presented by Paragon Financial Advisors. You guys on the YouTube chat, my goodness, I leave the ghetto for a few minutes and they go it's like scorched earth on the nice old man.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
Holy smokes. Guys, just let people have their opinions.
It's okay, yeah.
Unless they piss me off, then I want to fight. But other than that, let people have their opinions. If he can like the Big 12.
You know what I saw in him? I saw a little Olin in him.
Oh,
I saw a little Olin in him.
Yeah, but that guy's Olin's mentor.
You want to fight him?
Yeah. I mean, good head of hair, good suit. He was very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, whatever. People can get mad. That's what they do. Will they get mad at Chase Daniel?
No, he was good.
He was good. He was good.
This happened all the way back on Monday.
I don't even know.
We've been so loaded that we're
loaded
just
to the
now running
gills.
it.
All right, so here's my interview where you won't have to use the dump button with Chase Daniel on TexAgs Live.
All right, our next guest is one of the new faces of the SEC Network, but no stranger to SEC fans at his time at Missouri. Chase Daniel joining us. Chit-chat a little college football. What's up, man?
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming.
Nice little booth set up here. You definitely have the most interactive with the lights and the cameras and this. I mean, I love it.
We're trying to match the SEC Network. We're trying, man.
I love it.
So, how's the role? How do you like it? And just tell me about the transition.
Yeah, it's great. It's been great. Like I worked for ESPN last year for the first year and called some college football games and was able to get my feet wet. And then this opportunity came up. I jumped at it. Right, SEC, best conference in the world, in the nation. And so, since I retired in 2022, I'd been mostly just NFL.
Yeah.
And so covering NFL is completely different than covering, one conference. I miss the pageantry. I miss the passion. So to get down here and just to see. Media Day.
Right.
It's the first day of Media Day, and you guys are crazy. Like, we did our first live show for SEC Nation, and there's crazies from every single school out there in lightning and thunder and rain, and they're yelling like crazy. So it definitely, I know they say it means more, but they're ready for some football down here.
So this is going to run on Tuesday, but on Monday, Missouri was top of mind.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the state of the program, because I feel like they are always slept on. They always somewhat overachieve, but this year, there's a lot more question marks than the last couple of years.
Well, it starts with quarterback, right? How does Austin Simmons coming over from Ole Miss? How does he handle the program? How does he handle the offense? Obviously, Ahmad Hardy, a lot of question of that. Is he going to be healthy? Is he not? I think he'll be fine. Best running back in the country, in my opinion, along with Kejuan Lacey. You got two in this conference. And I would say, I don't know if I'd say overachieved. I would say it's something that really no one thought they could win 10 games, right? A couple years ago, right? You beat Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. I was there. And then obviously a little bit of a down year last year. The quarterback play for us since Brady Cook has left hasn't been up to par to Coach Drink's standards. And so it'll be interesting to see, can that happen? How does our defense handle losing a lot of people? But they are a very intriguing team for sure.
The state of the SEC when it comes to quarterbacks. Few guys coming back, but a lot of new guys as well. How do you look at the conference overall in a quarterback perspective?
I think it's really high. Like, you look at Arch Manning, you look at Trinidad Chambliss, you look at Lenore Sellers, who 2 years ago had a heck of a year, Marcel Reed. There's probably forgetting some people that could have surprise years as well. I think the quarterback play is really good. And I think, to me, you look at a guy like Trinidad Chambliss, what he was able to do in the college football playoff run of last year really won me over, because, I'm from an NFL eye.
Right.
I thought he should have came out because your stock's really high. He ended up getting that injunction or whatever it was, coming back for another year. So it's going to be great. And then you look at Arch too. Arch has been through the ringer a little bit. He's calloused, as they would say. And really down the stretch, you look at the A&M game and you look at the Michigan game for Texas. It's games they had to win. I just thought he played really well down the stretch. Obviously, the start of the season, the last 6 games, I think he was 19 total touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So there's a lot of really good quarterback play in this country.
All right, when it comes to A&M, I feel like Marcel Reed, yes, we want to see him take a big step forward, but if he can raise his floor, talk to me a little bit about those mistakes down the stretch and trying to correct those.
Yeah, look, I covered an A&M game last year, called an A&M game last year. Forgot who it was against, but it was like a Week 9 throwaway game. Okay. And got to sit down with Mike Elko and talked. And just the culture, right? Everyone talks about just the culture he's brought down. It's unbelievable. And then got to talk with Marcel Reed and Colin Klein, who was the OC now, obviously, at K-State.
All right, for more of that interview with Chase Daniel, go to TexAgs.com. Is it already up on there? Do we already post it? No, it'll be posted
It will
here
be this afternoon.
in a little bit. Right now, though, by the way, when we come back, Neal McCready covers Ole Miss. We'll chit-chat with him. The Brazos Running Company in Mason Hay, a family of legacy in Century Square. Brazos Running Company, a local Aggie-owned specialty running store. They're right below the Star Cinema Grill. They're owned by Mike and his family. They're fantastic. They'll find the right shoe for you. Brooks, On, Hoka, they got it all. Viore Clothing, one of the hottest athletic wears out there. Duck Camp, outdoor apparel, and, of course, Turtle Box speakers. And the Aggie spirit runs deep in that family. So Mike Nugent's got a couple daughters who have started this company. It's called Mason Hay. They're awesome. They are an own company featuring officially licensed A&M merchandise, and I'm talking about Aggie pajamas, and they have all the inspirations from A&M that you would love to see. So from running shoes to Aggie pajamas, this Aggie family's got you covered. Visit Brazos Running Company in Century Square. Shop Mason Hay at masonhay.com. last day here at SEC Media Days, brought to you by Paragon Financial Advisors. I'm David Nuno here on TexAgs Live. Neal McCready from Rebels 247, good friend of the show and a good friend of mine. What's up, Neal?
David, it's always good to be with you. I'm now interested in the Angry Elephant. I've never been there.
It's a good place, man.
I just heard about the Angry Elephant, and suddenly it's on my list of places I want to go check out. That's a cool name.
Yeah, it's how would you describe it, Nick? It's
a political themed bar. So there's like the Angry Elephant, Republicans,
so it's elephant
Democrats.
like the GOP elephant. Okay, that's interesting.
But they do have a picture of Obama.
They go to both meetings.
Yeah, they go to both. Anyway,
okay. Interesting.
Neal McCready with us. Neal, let's. Today's an interesting day because it's not your day, but it is your day, right? Because the attention's there for what Lane Kiffin has to say, even though he apparently spoke for 20 minutes, didn't say anything, and didn't take many questions, right?
Yeah, so when the schedule came out with Ole Miss on Wednesday and LSU on Thursday, I said, well, I might as well just stick around for an extra day just to see what Lane would say. TJ Daugherty's here, former Ole Miss linebacker. I talked to TJ a little bit ago. I'm still working on that story. But, I think it's still a really big story in Ole Miss circles. His departure, the way he tried to sort of burn it down on the way out, the comments that he made in May in Vanity Fair, and just kind of on and on, but I'm sure we're going to talk about it. I also think that at some point, I'll give Lane credit. I thought today he was very much prepared, stayed on script, didn't deviate, didn't give a bunch of things quotes that will lead to inflammatory doing it. For both sides, the truth is Lane and Ole Miss, both sides at some point need to move on.
Yeah.
And there's a game in a couple months in Oxford. And when that game's over, David, both teams have very difficult games the next week. LSU has Texas A&M coming to town. Ole Miss has to go to Florida. A&M's coming off of a playoff appearance. I know there's some offensive line questions, but other than that, all the boxes are checked to be a really good team in College Station. And look, I've known John Summerall a long time. He's going to have Florida ready to play.
Sure.
They have some question marks, but they'll probably be 3-0 that day. It's a free shot. He'll have those guys ready to play, and so for both LSU and Ole Miss, if they're still playing each other a week later, it's not going to go well.
Speaking from experience, because of what A&M went through with Jim Schlossnagle in Texas, until you get them at home, the fans can't move on. And I think now that A&M got that series a year later than it should have been, I think everybody's been able to move on. So the fact that Ole Miss gets them in this first year, I think it's great. I got a question about what Lane Kiffin could have been at Ole Miss had Austin Simmons not gotten hurt last year. Because it feels like did he pick the wrong quarterback initially? Because, what we saw Trinidad Chambliss do, and what does that say about him this year at LSU, maybe with Sam Levitt?
Oh, that's a great point. It's very odd that the best thing that happened to your football team last season for Ole Miss was that their starting quarterback got hurt. Because they were going to stick with Austin Simmons. They were paying him as a starter. He was going to be the guy. I think they were prepared they being Lane and Charlie Weiss and those guys, they were prepared for him to make some first-year mistakes, but Austin's got a world of talent. And when he got hurt, it's ironic. The one guy in the building that I think was throughout the process saying, hey, we need to be looking at this Chambliss guy was Pete Golding. He was the defensive coordinator because you know how it is in August. Ones go against twos, twos against ones. So, Trinidad Chambliss is sort of tearing up the Ole Miss defense. And I think Pete Golding was like, hey, I hope this cat's really good. Otherwise, we're in trouble, And it was the best thing that happened to him. Did they go with the wrong guy? You could say that. I think in today's college football where money matters, it's much like the NFL. The guy that's getting paid is the guy that's going to play. I don't know that would be a completely fair criticism, but certainly Trinidad Chambliss was the key to their season. He was amazing last season, and had Austin not gotten hurt at Kentucky, I don't know that he would have played.
There's not a right way to leave Ole Miss last year. There isn't, right? But what would have been a better? To me, you don't leave. You got a chance to win a national championship. You don't leave. That's just me.
Yeah.
You're getting everything you want. I understand that's the job that you. But would there have been a play that would have been? You know what? I hate that he left, but I get it.
It's one of those things, right, where everybody has a point.
Mm-hmm.
And when Lane says the calendar's messed up, he's not wrong. You know, if you're coaching the Houston Texans and you know that there's an opportunity to go coach the Los Angeles Rams and that's the job you want, you can still finish your season with the Texans. They make the playoffs, advance in the playoffs, whatever, and then you can go. College football doesn't have that. Obviously, there was a lot of talk about where Lane was going to go. I guess the quote right thing would have been, this is my team. We're in the playoffs. I'm not leaving.
Mm-hmm.
But here comes the human element. What if, and I believe this to be the case, Lane Kiffin thought, okay, but when this runs over, whether it ends in the first round or it ends in the national championship game, when it's over, what if I want this other job so much and can't really live with the idea of waking up going, okay, there's the job that I wanted, somebody else has it, and 3-4 years down the line, it's tougher where I am, and I look at the guy who ended up getting that job and he's winning, and that's a lot to live with too, you know? And so it was a very complex human thing that, do I think he handled it right? No, I don't. Do I understand how it sort of went the way it did? I do. And then you throw in the toxicity, and that's probably putting it mildly, of social media.
Yep.
And it just turned into a really ugly scene. Some of that's his fault. A lot of that's his fault. But probably not all of it's his fault. Look, college football has some stuff to fix. And so when he stands up at the podium and says that the system is bad, he's not wrong.
Yep.
He's not wrong at all. In fact, most coaches would agree with you, you know? Here's a scenario. If Ole Miss had gone 9-3 last season, they beat Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl on the day after Thanksgiving, and then the season ends and he leaves to go to LSU, there's still vitriol, but it's nothing like this.
No. Well, to me, it looks like you're turning your back on your players. That's what it looks like to me. But I also understand you don't...
Yeah, it's hard, right? I mean, I agree with John Summerall, where he was at Tulane and he said, hey, had Florida said to him, hey, you got to come now, you can't coach the playoffs, he'd have said, I'm out. No way. I'm coaching my team. I agree with Kalen DeBoer, who probably had an opportunity to go to Michigan, which is probably a better fit for Kalen, if we're being honest. And he said, I'm not leaving a playoff team. I'm here, even though I'm not convinced that he thinks Alabama's the greatest fit in the world for him. So, but I also understand the human side of, here's this opportunity that I view to be, and it doesn't matter what you think or I think or anybody else here thinks, he viewed that as a better opportunity for him. And so it's his life. He's 51 years old. How many other opportunities are you going to get to take a job that you view to be a dream job? I get it. There's just a lot there.
Yeah. And it sounds so similar to what I think A&M baseball went through, but let's talk actual football. I like Pete Golden. I didn't know I was going to like him, but I like him. He's funny. He's smart. I don't know what kind of head coach he's going to be when it's all his run. What have you learned about him?
Look, he is a very smart football coach. I mean, you ever get him going on football where, he's the word writes like every 4 words and he's all charged up and you listen to what he says, it's very clear that he knows the game, especially on the defensive side. He's been very, very good at delegating. He did a great job of holding his team together in the wake of Kiffin's departure, of assembling a staff in the wake of Kiffin's departure. He wasn't afraid to hire people who had head coaching experience. Instead, he sought that out, which is a sign that he's very confident in himself. Kids love him. Look, they beat Tulane. They beat Georgia. There was a lot of distractions going on that week between Georgia and Miami, and they almost beat Miami. He's really good. I think people got to see him yesterday at Media Days, especially after the first few minutes where he sort of threw the script away and he was himself. Yeah. He's a really likable guy. He's a guy that players like playing for. Players view him as genuine. He's was with Saban for a while, took some things from Saban, was with Kiffin for a while, took some things from Kiffin. and yet at the same time, I think he's his own guy. You know, I mean, in an ideal world in this league, David, you know, you have somebody who's gotten to coach at a little lesser, you know, Mike Elko's better prepared for A&M having been at Duke, right?
For sure.
Period. But he's been on the big stage for a while with that at Alabama, and then the last few years at Ole Miss, they've been on the big stage, and so I think he's prepared for it.
Last thing for you, what are realistic expectations for them, considering Heisman candidate at quarterback? I think the best quarterback in the SEC, a running back that can run through walls. You've got a defense that should be excellent. What is realistic, considering it is still a year of transition?
I mean, okay, so it's what is realistic? Anything from playing for the national championship to going 8-4.
Yeah. That's all these tier 2 teams, right?
Well, you know, I don't know whether you agree with this. I know we probably have to go. There's 7 teams in the league that I think are true playoff contenders. Ole Miss is one of them. A&M's one of them. I think if Tennessee gets quarterback play, they might make an 8th team that has a realistic path to the CFP. And then you look at the rest of the league, there's only one team that I think we're all going, they're bad.
Arkansas.
Yeah. And then there's a couple that probably aren't much better, Mississippi State, maybe Kentucky. But look, Florida's going to be better. Auburn's going to be better. Missouri's still solid.
Yeah.
You know, and you play in a league where I mean, look, Arkansas was bad last year, and they gave A&M all A&M wanted, right?
Yep.
I mean, Mississippi State was bad last year, and they had Texas on the ropes.
As did Kentucky.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen in this league when everybody beats each other up, but Ole Miss has a roster that could reach the national championship game, and they have a schedule that could put them at 7-5.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that applies to damn near everyone in the league this year. I don't know that there's any team, even including the 2 that we're all picking, Georgia, Texas, I don't think those 2 teams are immune from having a 4-loss season. I really don't.
I don't either. I've been told those 2 teams won't, but I just look at the schedules and I look at how close these teams are, and I don't. And I think that's going to hurt the SEC. Not just playoff time, but there's not an elite team.
Well, we talked about September 26th a minute ago, and then Ole Miss has a stretch where they play at Texas, Auburn, Georgia at home, at Oklahoma in 4 weeks.
Right.
Well, what are the odds you're going to go 4-0? They're not good.
They're not good.
You know, and that's for everybody. I'm sure A&M, I haven't studied A&M's schedule, but I'm sure there's a stretch of games in there where you look at that and go, well, you're probably not running that table.
November. Again, yeah.
So, you know, how does all that play out? Listen, I think it's great for the fans. You get lots of games, lots of drama. I understand why the coaches are a little furious about the 9th game, knowing, you know, that they didn't get any promises from the CFP and that they had an unsatisfactory meeting in Destin. I get it.
Neal, you're one of my favorites, and I don't just say that, seriously.
David, thank you.
Love having you on the show.
Love being on with you.
All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with a short final segment. It's TexAgs Live. final segment of the program right here at SEC Media Days. Thank you to our good friends at Paragon Financial Advisors. Shout out to our QB1, Stephen McGee. Joining me on the set, Richard Zane, Callie Gardner. You people, I was going to say gentlemen, ladies, you people have done an amazing job this week. And I don't think people get to know all the stuff that you're doing. But, Callie, why don't you start us off? Social mediaing, booking guests, shooting stand-ups, helping me shoot my stand-up. You've done so much. Kay Nagley as well, by the way. She's just working somewhere else. She'd be on here with us. Yeah.
About what?
Well, just talk. I mean,
what you've done this week.
I feel like I gave your resume. I just gave your LinkedIn.
Any photo you see on the site is probably from me, and any content on Instagram is from me. Twitter is more so a combination of the help back home and everybody, but yeah.
Yeah, you've done great. Richard, you've been doing your normal duties, but also going to all the stations you can imagine, listening to all the sound bites, writing about it, doing it. You had questions for tomorrow. I don't think I'm phrasing that title correctly.
Tomorrow's questions today,
there
which
you go.
I think 12 people read.
No.
All 4 days.
36,000.
No. And then I was also sharing my Tampa's takeaways, just the fun stuff that's not football related, because Olin and David and Billy have you covered there. And I feel as though I've been significantly less busy than you and Nick and this lady to my left and Kay, just because I've watched you guys hustle. And I've been a part of the hustle too, I know that, but just the way you guys have gone about your business this week has been impressive to even be on the periphery of. And I don't think people back home, I'm not talking about the audience here, realize just how much of an undertaking covering these 4 days are. Nobody outside of the SEC network covers this event as extensively or as comprehensively as TexAgs does. Yep. And when the event eventually wraps up and we're waiting on our plane that's going to get delayed 1,000 hours because of whatever tropical depression's in there, I'm going to run down the numbers and just see how many hours of content we've put together and put out, because it's going to be astronomical.
Gotta drop it there. Great job, and great job by Kay Nagley. And how about Nick Savage?
Yes.
Killing it, right? Killing it, except choosing places to eat. All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Live.
The crew back home.
Yeah, thank you. Kudinsky and the whole crew. You guys did very good job. I've got a full report every day of all the good and bad, but mostly good. All right, that'll do it for the show. We'll see you mañana.